Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and we are live. Shout out to everybody here that is tuned in, and I think I got some pretty good news here. Looks like Patrick Graham is going to be staying with the Las Vegas Raiders this season because the Washington Commanders, they hired Dan Quinn to be their head coach, and the Raiders have been blocking a whole bunch of defensive coordinator openings for Graham because they have ultimately wanted to keep him here, and that's the biggest news. I mean, is it really anything new? No, not really. But to me, I now know that all of the head coaching jobs have officially been hired. They've been filled, and that means to me the Raiders are going to be keeping Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham is going to be staying here with the Las Vegas Raiders. We are going to get into some more NFL news and rumors around the silver and black on today's show. We're going to go through some news and notes that maybe we have gotten from the Senior Bowl. Also, ESPN, they put out a prediction article around what they think the Las Vegas Raiders could do at the quarterback position. We'll talk about that. And then, since I think Patrick Graham's going to be staying, what's going to end up happening here, all right, Eric, what's going to end up happening here on this show is I'm going to do my top 50 defensive free agents for the Raiders, ranked from 50 all the way down to 1. I literally looked at Jeremy before the show started, and I go, man, I don't know if I'm going to be drinking today. Well, guess what? Looks like I'm going to have at least one boot. This one's rolling in from Eric M. Bang! The first one. Shout out to Eric. Eric, I've been excited to wear this jersey for the past few days. Like I said, I got a bunch of the orders in. Like I'm gonna wear two brand new ones tomorrow, and then I got a few more new ones that I'll have to wear on Monday, Tuesday. Bunch of brand new shows. Shout out to Eric M. I'll have Chugs get that boot here in a few minutes. Give me like 10 minutes, Eric, and then we'll end up knocking back that boot. I got 700 people here. If you're like, Mitch, what the heck is that? If you don't know, then hey, you don't know. If I'm rocking your jersey, you send in 100. On days that I say that I'm okay with drinking, I'll do a boot if you end up doing it. Here's a big question, though, because it's going to be coming up here, and I was laughing. I was poking a little bit of fun at some people down in the comments earlier, and, it's all love here. But pick a quarterback between Justin Fields, Aiden O'Connell. We debated about this on Tuesday. We're going to talk about it a little bit today on top of that, and I have a live poll at the very top of today's show, which says, who's the better quarterback for the Raiders? If you think it's Justin Fields, type JF. If you believe that it's Aiden O'Connell, I want to see some AOCs flowing down below. I see Gene Gillen. What's up, Gene? Michael Holiday, Fields. Clemente, Fields. Broke and hungry, Justin Fields. Sienna, Fields. 808 Raider, Fields. Anthony, Fields. Nast, Fields. I mean, I've seen all Justin Fields right now. Early riser, AOC. Raid her. What is that? Raid her Laker TDs. I don't know what that means, but touchdown Kobe, RIP. Juice, Justin Fields. Mooncage, Justin Fields. My man Taino Raider also spamming Justin Fields. Now, I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our awesome sponsor, PrizePicks. And I know, Mitch, I'm not going to watch the big game. Yeah, you are. If you're legitimately telling me that you're not going to watch the Super Bowl, I don't believe you. I'm sorry. I had a Raider fan tell me the other day on Twitter that he counted 58 different households, Raider households, that aren't going to watch it. My mindset, you got way too much free time on your hands. So maybe take some of that free time and go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. It's easy. It's exciting. It's the reason why PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. And if you're wondering, all right, Mitch, well, if you're going to be watching the game, because here's the thing. I think, can we all agree on this? F the Niners and FKC. We can all agree on that, right? But if there's one thing that I'm going to enjoy watching when I do watch the Super Bowl, and hopefully y'all pull up with Jeremy Chugs and I at Ahern Hotel and watch it with us in Las Vegas, I'm going to have an opportunity to make some money. I got $20 down to win $200. I need Patrick Mahomes to get 1 passing yard. Pretty damn confident that's going to happen. Brock Purdy, more than 11.5 rushing yards. Isaiah Pacheco, the rushing touchdown. Like, honestly, this is the one that makes me the most nervous, but he has scored a touchdown in 7 straight games. So we'll see if that happens again. And then Kyle Juszczyk, he's got to get 1 catch. If this happens, 20 to win 200. But guess what? In a game that I would love for both teams to lose. I'm at least going to be able to watch it. I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to be rooting on that those things end up happening. So spoiler alert if you don't want that. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. All right, y'all, I got another question for you since we're going to be breaking down some of our top free agents here on the show, and I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, it's not here. I got a boot right here. If the rankings that you're going to see are not like the overall rankings, right? Like they're not going to be the rankings that a bunch of other companies put out. I do this show for the nation. I do this show for the Raiders. So my rankings specifically are for the Raiders and Raiders defense only. That's what you're going to see because I'm already going to tell you, there's going to be people like, wow, I can't believe that guy's ranked higher than that guy. Yeah, it's going to happen, but I don't care what the other defenses do. I care about how I'm making this defense better. And I got 950 people here right now. So I want you to name a defensive free agent that you think the Raiders should sign. I see Real Cowboys going to go with Chris Jones. King Shav, Chris Jones. Raider Nation, stand up from Verdale Huey. If you're part of the nation right now, man, hit that like button real quick. What's up, Michael? Michael, I was poking a little fun with you with your Aiden O'Connell comments, but you know it's all love here, Mike. He's got a boot from Kevin. Raider Dog, still going with AOC. Christian Wilkins from Juan Hernandez. CJ from the Fonz. Jalen Johnson from Cloud. I will be talking about Jalen Johnson coming up here on the show. Khalil Mack, not a free agent. Sebastian Diaz. Chris Jones would not sign with us. It's not true. I mean, here's the thing. Chris Jones is going to be looking for a bag. Whatever team gives Jones the most money, to me, is the team that he ends up going with. And if he wants to get, I mean, to me, Chris Jones, it starts at $30 million. I do not see a player like Chris Jones at 29, almost 30 years old, the number one free agent out there, like on the market. If you were to ask all 32 NFL teams, I believe they would say Chris Jones is the top player in the free agency pool. He's getting $30 million this year. If you're not willing to spend that much money because you want to go in a different direction, well, hey, it's at least something to consider. That's something. I don't know what I can say to that. Oh, man. Cam Jordan from Matt, not a free agent. Von Miller is washed up. Jones, Kuntz, and Crosby. I don't know if you guys understand the question. Maybe I'm confused here. David Bauer says Josh Allen. He's referring to the edge rusher, not the quarterback. F. Taylor Swift, too. All right, yeah. Justin is not the answer from One Life, a Live 4. I don't know if Justin Fields is the answer, but here's the thing. I know Aiden O'Connell is not the answer. Yeah. See, now you're just opening up a whole nother can of worms there, Chugs. We got over 1,000 people here in the building. What up, Leono? What up, Raul Martinez? Juicehead89. If you guys want to shout out here on the show, there's a guy. His name's Chugs. Spam his name down below. He's going to take over. And if you want to get your questions or comments on the show, use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. I owe a boot for Eric M. Eric, I know you've been waiting for a minute, and I'm glad I was finally able to rock the jersey.
Shout out to my guy, Zach Orr, UNT legend, Mean Green, New Ravens DC. Let's go. GMG, baby. GMG. Let's go. had to rep for the college.
The man, I was told, you have more favorite teams than anybody I've ever met.
I was told that I don't ever rep my alma mater, that I'm not a true Mean Greener by my boss. So I have the Mean Green sweater. I got the Mean Green little koozie. And we're bleeding green today, baby. We're bleeding mean green. Fucking Chugs. You're damn straight. You're damn straight. Let's go. Absolutely love it. Mitch, great time. That's a great time for you, Mitch.
I had to do a boot yesterday for Borelli on Saints because he did some wild shit the other day on Saints. I'll tell you this right now. I pushed myself yesterday, and shout out to Seeps because you know what they always say, the bookies always know. Seeps put it at 18.5 seconds for my boot. Oh, man, I got to burp here. Hang on a second.
Shout out to Eric Zaragoza. He says, shout out my kids who are listening. Eric Zaragoza, shout out to your kids for watching the Raiders Report. The number one Raiders YouTube channel out there in the entire universe, even in the Space Jam universe. It's the Raiders Report.
Get ready for this. What up, Real Cowboy? You're next up here on the Raiders Report. I would rather spend $30 million a year on Jones than $45 million on Cousins. I don't disagree with that take. I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons why I was upset with the Raiders last year, spending all the money that they did on Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, when you think about how much money they could have allocated, all the money they gave to Jimmy G, they could have allocated that to the defensive side of the football.
Shit.
Like, what?
Martin said, it's amazing I can see Jeremy with all that green.
It is. I mean, I'll tell you this.
Green background, green shirt.
Come up here real quick. Come up here. Because now you guys are just going to see a floating head. This is what a green screen does.
It's like the magic of television, baby.
Yeah, I mean, that's why. So anything that has green in it, like beer looks really weird on cameras. Sometimes, like, depending on certain drinks and stuff, looks kind of weird. Anything that has any kind of green in it for our green screen, it just...
I can stand right here and you can still read it.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. I've always said that you make a better door than a window. This is the first time that that's not true. This is great. All right, Raider Nation Adventures with Jay Cino. Jay Cino, I was talking about you the other day because you made Jeremy and I feel like we were in Super Mario World, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, dude, Jay Cino?
Yeah.
We got to run it back.
Yeah, Jay Cino, we want the plug, so hit us up. Only plus of this year's big game is the loser will be the first to get the M&M ring of comfort for almost winning. What is the M&M ring? The M&M ring? What, am I missing something? All right, you got to go. You're like the Dollar General version of Casper right now. The Jewish version of Casper. What would that be? Jasper. Not Brandon, though. Not Brandon. What's up, y'all? Yoda, Cannon, Zalesbo, Robert Jenkins, Raphael. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. And if anybody out there's got kids, Raider Nation Adventures with Jay Cino, go check it out. It's an awesome book. My boss actually reads it to his kid, which I think is kind of a funny thing. Not Raider fan, my boss, but it's a really good book. You should go check it out. Dorian, what are you guys thinking about Spencer Rattler? I'm not as Jeremy is on him. I do think that there's, like, upside. However, I will also say, like, there are certain quarterbacks that are probably going to have to go to certain teams. Like, anybody out there that's ever had, I don't know, character concerns, Spencer Rattler's character concerns are through the roof. Through the roof.
Huh? Oh,
what?
Mark's just saying he was a 3-time captain.
He's a quarterback. I mean, to me, if you don't name Spencer Rattler a quarterback or a captain, that's an even bigger story.
I don't know about that. I heard Michael Penix is tearing it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I got one of my buddies.
On the inside and out, Penix, best guy out there.
One of my buddies at the Senior Bowl says Spencer has looked pretty damn good. I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow on winners and losers from the Senior Bowl.
He's just got BPE, big Penix energy.
I hear you. But, I mean, to me right now, like, I'll tell you this. If you ask me, Mitch, would you rather take Spencer Rattler in the 5th round or Bo Nix in the 1st round? I'll take Spencer Rattler in the 5th every day of the week. J.J. McCarthy in the 2nd or Spencer Rattler in the 5th? I'm taking Spencer Rattler every single day.
Drake May in the 1st or Spencer Rattler in the 5th?
I'm taking Drake May.
Okay, I was checking.
Yeah, there's only 3 quarterbacks, in my opinion, that the Raiders should consider drafting in the 1st round. And if you don't know who they are at this moment, you probably do not watch this show very often. Let's go to TJ. What's up, TJ? Raises for all of our defense, spare no expense on our offense. Let's go. I mean, funny that you say this because one of the things that I'm going to be talking about today is around Patrick Graham and me flat. I've been screaming it from the rooftop that keeping PG was just as important as keeping, AP in my personal opinion. And I agree that he deserves a raise. When you could think about what that Raiders defense was able to do this season, it doesn't get nearly enough credit. Not only was the defense phenomenal, and by the end of the year, arguably the best defense in the NFL, you spent second least amount of money on your defensive side of the football, and think about how much the D was on the field because your offense couldn't move the football. There were so many reasons of why Patrick Graham deserves a raise, and if you think that PG deserves a raise, click that like button. Let's go to real. Las Vegas could be a bad location for a rookie with character issues. I know you're leaning towards Caleb Williams here, and Las Vegas can be a bad destination for any rookie. Here's the other thing. Any major city with a young kid in his young 20s that's a millionaire can be a problem.
I mean, yeah, we look at it in any city. Look, one of the biggest problems in the NBA right now, Ja Morant living in Memphis with all the stuff that goes on there, the criminal activity that goes along with being in Memphis and, the different things that go on in that city. Yeah. I mean, you can say the same thing about James Harden in Houston with all the strip clubs.
No, to me, you got to be able to put, if you're going to draft a quarterback at number 1, right? Like, if the Raiders trade up to number 1 and you get Caleb Williams, whether Caleb Williams likes it or not, you got to make sure that he stays on the straight and narrow, but that's also up to the Raiders to be able to put some right people around him, right? Like, I'm from the East Coast, right? Like, you want to talk about, like, Baltimore.
You mean the Beast Coast?
The Beast Coast. Yeah, sure. Let's go with it. I've been to Baltimore. Baltimore's not a great area, but you know what Lamar Jackson has done? He's kept his nose pretty damn clean. You got to surround yourself with the right people. I didn't mean it like that. You got to surround yourself with the right people, and that's important. And the Raiders need to make sure that they surround Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. If they end up trading up for a QB, they need to make it happen. They do. Let's go to Purnell Lowry. Purnell, get a pick. But hey, man.
First timer.
And a first-time super chat. What's up, Purnell?
You always remember your first time.
You do. You do. Tom Smith, astonished face. I don't know what he's astonished about. However.
All right, we're about to get started on today's show, but before we do, where are you watching from?
Where are you watching?
Over 1,000 people watching right now. Let me know. Where are you watching from?
Actually, before...
I also sent you something.
Yeah, I saw. It's unbelievable. Also, I do want to say, I got to give a shout-out to Justin Avgin. Avgin, for those that do not know, today is February 1st, so Avgin was our January Bang champion. We're going to do something special tomorrow for Justin. We're going to do something also special tomorrow for Fluhy, who came in a very close second. And if you're wondering, Mitch, just change the title. What are our deals of the day today? Remember, anytime you get a super chat, you're going to get up here on the show. A $10 super chat, you're going to be entered to win a Raiders helmet. So essentially what I have, it's not in office yet, so I can't show it to you necessarily.
Martin said Justin equals Mrs. January.
Yeah, you're going to see next year, you guys are going to see what we do, and it's going to blow your mind. But if you send in a $10 super chat, we're going to be doing a Raiders helmet raffle, so I'm going to get a full-size Raiders helmet. It's going to be signed by Jeremy Chugs and I at the very end of the month here in February. Somebody asked me, hey, Mitch, I can't really do the Bang competition, but I would still like to be a part of like a raffle something for February, so I thought it was a cool idea. So we're going to get a big Raiders helmet, official size. It's a Revolution Speed helmet.
Martin might already be onto it.
Yeah? You think?
Martin might be reading our minds.
Yeah. Hey, Martin, all I'm saying is you have the idea that I have, and you guys will see. But nobody knows what I'm talking about here, and that's totally okay. Next year, you guys are going to see it. But every 10, you guys are going to be entered in for a Raiders helmet raffle. Again, we're going to do it at the very, very end of the month. $10 super chat, you're in. If you want to see Marshall do a boot race against Rebel, we are, from right now it stands, about, I want to say, 12 $50 super chats away from Marshall being able to go to Las Vegas to challenge Rebel in a boot race. I want it to happen. I really do. And if you want to get entered in for our Bang competition, which right now, the only person that is in is Eric M. He is the leader of our February Bang competition. Shout out to Eric M. Whoever is the winner gets a special Raiders Report jersey. I'll send it to your house that says February Bang MVP with number 24.
Michael Rascoon said, I'm starting to like Penix. Hey, Michael, love is love.
I'm not going to judge, Michael. I'm not going to judge. However, I'll say this. I think Michael Penix Jr. is a very intriguing prospect, though he is older for a QB, which he is.
You can take pills if you have an older Penix.
Sure. He's also been pretty banged up.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lefty.
Yeah.
Does that concern you?
No.
Being a banged up Penix lefty?
No, I heard if a lot of people try with their Penix with their left hand.
Oh, wow.
Feels like somebody else is doing it.
That's the word on the street. That's the word on the street. You guys are ridiculous.
I got some weird looks from the office.
That's going to happen once in a while. It's going to happen once in a while. Also, if anybody wants to get in for our 50-50 raffle, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. We will do this at the end of today's show.
I saw it earlier.
Yep, I'm listening.
Venom Sosa.
What's up? Also, shout out to Brandon's already in. Brandon sent me this yesterday and said, just put me in. That's unbelievable. So Brandon Jasper, you are in. I'm actually curious when Brandon was just watching a random, or like when he thought about it. I mean, it literally says, put me in.
Queen Sarah Otto said, Chugs, you dirty-minded man. How does Danny put up with you?
I don't know.
She's a clean freak.
Yeah. She calls Jeremy Mr. Clean. What's up, Patrick B? What up, Kevin? Raider Nation Adventures with JCino. All right, y'all, who's ready to get into a little bit of content today around the silver and black? So I think the first thing we'll do, we can hit news and rumors, and if anything like new-ish pops up, we could maybe just put like if it's big enough, a new segment or just tack it on. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, it is a little coldy.
Yeah? Okay.
So if you want to maybe switch it, and then if anything happens, put a cold open.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get into what ESPN has predicted for the Las Vegas Raiders, which it's going to be a lot of quarterback conversation because they just put out an article. Then since it is officially official now that Patrick Graham is going to be staying because he's not going to leave the Raiders to take another job. He's going to be here with us. He's going to be our defensive coordinator with the Commanders hiring a head coach, with Seattle hiring a head coach yesterday as well. Patrick Graham is going to be staying. I figured let's get a little bit wet and wild today. Top 50 defensive free agents.
All I'll say for all 1,000 of you in here
is
we got the news about Dan Quinn midday.
Yep.
And there's a lot of stuff that you'll want to see on our live show tomorrow. We're going live on a Friday.
Yep.
We don't usually do that. It is going to be a can't-miss show tomorrow because the amount of smoke and then fire that we're going to have on tomorrow's show, you're going to want to watch.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. And Jeremy and I, we're doing a little detective work is what we like to call it. We've reached out to a few people. I'm not going to give away everything that we're going to talk about, but people who have watched the show before know that Jeremy's got some he's connected to some people that I know the Raiders are currently interested in. So that's kind of how we're going to leave it. I didn't want to do it on today's show because I don't have all the information.
We didn't have enough time to do what we wanted to do for that show.
Correct. So tomorrow's show is going to be a juicy one.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's show is going to be a juicy one, and then I'm also going to share all my notes. One of my really, really good buddies, man, I'm talking back in my fantasy football days, he's at the Senior Bowl. He's going to send me all of his notes that he has gathered from the Senior Bowl, and we're going to do a little winners and losers from somebody that's actually been there. And, you know, I'll bounce it off from some of the other people that I know from the Senior Bowl as well, but we're going to get a lot of Senior Bowl notes tomorrow, and then tomorrow's show is going to be a spicy one, a spicy meatball, if you will. Let's go to Mount Raider more. Patrick B. The fact we still don't have any OC leads me to believe Kubiak must be the guy. Any OC news at all? Let's just say this. What we're going to talk about tomorrow is about Kubiak.
And I may or may not have an inside track on Mr. Kubiak.
We're going to talk about it tomorrow, but if you're interested in any Raiders OC news, tomorrow's the day to watch.
If you didn't watch any of our shows the past 2 weeks and don't know, my mom's married to a Kubiak.
So all I'm saying is I don't want to give away my entire show tomorrow, but tomorrow's show is going to be this. it's going to be this. I promise you this. It's very interesting. Let's go to Raider Muerte. What's up, Muerte? Appreciate you sending in the good vibes. As always, much, much love to you, dude.
I love the vibes.
I'll tell you this. I don't think anybody sends in more good vibes than Muerte.
The funniest thing is the real ones remember this started in the summer, and I was absolutely blasted on a beach in Florida, sending in good vibes to a Raiders live show.
Yeah. I'll say this. I'm going on vacation right after the Super Bowl, and if any Raiders OC news happens and you're live for it, I'm going to send in some good vibes from vacation. I know that. Oh, Pichon.
Oh, good vibes.
All right, y'all. Coming up live here on the show, we're going to get into the latest going on around the silver and black. Then we got some ESPN predictions, top 50 defensive free agents that the Raiders should at least target, and I have them ranked from 50 all the way down to 1. And as always, I got a burp.
As always.
Yep, that's what happens when you boot. All right, we're good. Maybe not. Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to get those questions, comments on the show. I will say, I think that's going to be my only boot for the day. I do have 2 other jerseys that I'm going to wear. Maybe you guys can convince me otherwise, but I'm going to drink tomorrow was my plan to drink tomorrow. I didn't really plan on doing it too much today. I got to go back to one day a week drinking.
You're on the struggle bus a little bit. So in the instance that you wear another jersey and we get 100, I'll take that boot.
You'll do the boot?
Yeah.
All right. And then if we get...
Because we have a lot of first-time jerseys, so if it's somebody's first time and they send in 100,
fair enough.
I want them to at least get a boot. So if you send in 100, if you're one of the 2 people that Mitch is going to wear your jersey for the next few segments,
all right, fair enough.
I'll go ahead and do the boots.
Okay, I'm down. All right, coming up, let's get into this news, rumors right now. Patrick Graham is staying with the Las Vegas Raiders. If that doesn't excite you, then I don't know what you are even doing here. Hit that like button. Show a little love to my man PG, because even though it's basically been officially official that the Raiders and Patrick Graham are going to be staying together for this season, with the Washington Commanders going out and hiring Dan Quinn, with the Seattle Seahawks hiring McDonald, and now all of the head coaching candidacies being filled, Patrick Graham ain't leaving for anything. He is staying here with the Las Vegas Raiders. So coming up here on the show, let's get into why Patrick Graham is staying. Let's get into why my man deserves a raise, because he absolutely positively does. Then we're going to get into the latest NFL news that has gone down today. And then I'm talking about 5 big defensive free agents that I want the Raiders to target. The amount of times that I have been on this show saying, all right, we got to find our OC, then we got to find our quarterback. Well, guess what? The Raiders' defensive coaching staff is already pretty much intact. And if we don't have an OC yet, and if we're not making adjustments for the offensive side of the football yet, because you can't really plan until you have that OC, let's use that time while we're waiting for an OC to invest on the defensive side of the football and go out and get 5 big free agents. And I'm talking, put them on your list right now. Here's some of the news that ended up going down today, which is why I'm so confident that Patrick Graham now is officially staying. Ian Rappaport, the Commanders have found their new coach, as owner Josh Harris is set to hire Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn as head coach. Quinn gets his second NFL head coaching gig, but not with the Seahawks as many expected. He lands in Washington. And before you go to that, tomorrow we're going to be live on the Raiders Report, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, special show. All I'm saying is there's a reason why Quinn ended up going to Washington. I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss our show tomorrow. It's going to be an absolute bombshell. 2024 head coaching hires: Chargers, Harbaugh; Commanders, Dan Quinn; the Atlanta Falcons end up getting Raheem Morris; Panthers, Dave Canal; Patriots, I don't know why I said it like that, Gerard Mayo; Raiders, AP; Seahawks, Mike McDonald; Titans, Brian Callahan. These were the openings this offseason, and now that they have all officially been filled, remember the Las Vegas Raiders, they blocked DC interviews for PG. They never wanted him to leave in the first place. However, you can't block a man's ability. You can't block anybody's ability, period, to have a better opportunity for them, for their family, to be able to have a better roof over their head, to be able to advance their own career. And if PG would have gotten another opportunity to be a head coach, hey, yeah, you know what? I didn't want to lose PG, but you got to tip your cap. He absolutely deserves to be in the consideration, which is why he got so many interviews. So to me, with all the head coaches being now filled, Patrick Graham is staying with the Las Vegas Raiders, and I can finally take a little bit of a... So show some love right now to Patrick Graham. If you think that this man deserves a raise, I want you to spam PG. And if you don't spam PG, man, get the hell out of here. What Patrick Graham did this season, hell, what he even did last season with this defense deserves a round of applause. Like, I'm talking, Shawty make that ass. Like, that's how much of a round of applause that Patrick Graham deserves. He does. He absolutely does. You're talking about the first Raiders defense since 2002 to allow less than 20 points per game. I mean, we say all the time that defenses win championships. Patrick Graham has built you a defense that is Super Bowl caliber. With AP and PG, the Raiders allowed 16 points per game. That was number one in the NFL during that stretch. LV also spent the second least money on the defensive side of the football, not to mention how often the defense was on the field because your offense couldn't move the football at all. All I'm telling you is this. What Patrick Graham and Antonio Pierce did is a thing of absolute beauty. And since the Raiders didn't spend any money last season on the defensive side of the football, guess what? Spend some money. Go give Patrick Graham a damn raise because I'm sorry, he absolutely, positively deserves it. And I think all y'all can agree with me on that. So Patrick Graham, he's staying here with the silver and black. The Washington Commanders, they hired a head coach. Coming up next here on the show is we're going to get into some big-name free agents that the Raiders could go out and target. And, again, I'm thinking of more of, all right, if we're going to wait on the offensive side, I don't want to spend these next week or two if we are planning to potentially interview Clint Kubiak. I don't want to spend these next 2 weeks with my thumb up my you-know-what. Let's start planning for the defensive side of the football. We know Patrick Graham's here. We know what our room looks like. Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, Champ Kelly. Let's start going out, and I want to try to find 5 big free agents, and I want the Raiders to at least sign one of them. I'll tell you who those 5 big-name players are, but I got to show some love here to PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Hell, Patrick Graham may be best DC in the NFL right now. PrizePicks, #1 daily fantasy sports app. Go get started. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Just make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. It's easy. It's exciting. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. You can get up to 25 times your money. Like for me, I have put down $20 for the big game, and I have an opportunity to make $200. Like, I'm pretty excited about it. And I don't always feel 100% confident in all my picks. I'm almost like thinking I got $200 already in my pocket. I don't want to watch the Chiefs. I don't want to watch the 49ers, but I'm not going to be that guy. I'm such a big football fan, I'm going to watch the Super Bowl. Like, let's be real here. So at least if I don't want the Niners to win and I don't want the Chiefs to win, at least I can root on some players and have an opportunity to put some money in my pocket. So that's 4 hours of entertainment. I think that's a pretty good way to spend my money, if you ask me. So again, if you want to go get started, that link's going to be available to you all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and you got to use code CLNS. That way, PrizePicks knows you came here from the Raiders Report. All right, y'all, let's get into some of these big-name free agents that I want the Raiders to start figuring out a way to allocate some money, because to me, I want them to spend big at least on one player on defense that's like that big-ticket item on D. Like, I'm talking a difference maker, and if it was up to me, I would set aside $20 million at least, and I'm saying I'm going out and getting a big-name defensive tackle. And, you know, you're going to see, like, these are all going to be players. For me, though, like, the Raiders right now where they're at, and I feel like I say it year in and year out, year in and year out, let's go spend some money on the DT, right? Like, I want to be able to take some pressure off Tyree Wilson. I want Malcolm Koonce to get more one-on-one. I would love for Max Crosby to get more one-on-one opportunities. But you're also losing Adam Butler. You're also losing John Jenkins. You're losing Bilal Nichols. Those are your top 3 defensive tackles this year. Right now you got Jerry Tillery, Byron Young, Nesta Jade Silvera, a lot of question marks. So guess what I want to do? Spend big on the big uglies in the middle, because at the end of the day, football is won in the trenches, and when you can bring 4, like I'm telling you right now, if you added a Justin Matabuke, a Christian Wilkins, a Chris Jones, Leonard Williams, DJ Reader, and the reason why Jones is number 3 on my list is because of the money and the age. The only reason why Matabuke is at number 1 and Christian Wilkins there are age and overall relationships that the Raiders already have. But like, if you had Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson, let's say Christian Wilkins, and Malcolm Koonce, you can bring 4 and get after the quarterback. You can drop your guys back into coverage and, like, you let them cook. That's when Patrick Graham's defense is at its best. I want them to invest big at defensive tackle. And if you agree, hit that subscribe button, because if they do end up signing any big-name players, honestly, man, if they end up signing anybody in free agency is probably one of my favorite times of the year here. When they sign a player, we go live. I don't want you to miss it. So hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Let's go to the next player here. The big-name defensive free agents that I want the Raiders to target. If you ask me, Mitch, who do you think would be the number one corner in this year's class? It's Jalen Johnson. And Johnson also has those connections with Champ Kelly. So Champ Kelly was a part of the regime back in Chicago that ended up getting Jalen Johnson when they did end up taking him. But he's like a physical freaking dude, coming off the best season that he's ever had, the number one corner according to PFF. 6 foot, 195 pounds, 36 tackles, 4 INTs, 10 PBUs. I mean, what you saw Johnson, and realistically, Johnson probably dropped like 3 or 4 picks in games that I just personally witnessed. If you put Johnson on one side of the field, though, that then allows Nate Hobbs to go back in the slot, which is kind of where I want Hobbs to live. Jack Jones is on the other side. Marcus Epps is standing right there. And then you got Trevon Merrick. That might be one of the best damn secondaries in the entire National Football League. Like, you're going to lose Amik Robertson, I think, this offseason. I like Amik. He's a good player. But if I'm Robertson, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to get my bag. And I think he's going to go get more money somewhere else. If he comes back and could be a depth player for us, yeah, I think it's a great move overall. But as it stands right now, the Raiders need to go out and they need to add some more talent, whether it's a big-name DT, maybe it's a big name like Jalen Johnson. I got 2 more names to get into here on the show, but for those that do not know, Chugs and I, we're going to be doing a big game watch party at the Ahern Showroom in Las Vegas, and you have an opportunity right now to reserve your tickets. It is free to enter, like 100% free to show up, but if you want to make sure that you reserve your seats, go to chatsports.com/biggame. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and down in the description. And when you reserve a seat, you have 2 options. You have $99, which is all you can eat, all you can drink, which is an absolute steal in Las Vegas during the big game. On top of that, the VIP pass is $149. Also, all you can eat, all you can drink. And this is the one that I would recommend if you like legitimately want a chance to pull up to the show with Jeremy and I and like get on screen when we're doing all of our crazy shenanigans. So again, free to attend. Reserve a seat. It's right here. Go to that link down below, chatsports.com/biggame. It is going to be an absolute movie. And if you're wondering what the venue looks like, don't worry. Jeremy and I, we're going to be on screen. The big screens that you see to the left there, that's Ahern. They also have another gigantic screen to the right. Plus, the bar itself has a bunch of TVs. So if you're like worried, am I going to be able to watch the game? Yes, you are going to be able to watch the game. That I can 100% guarantee you. Chatsports.com/biggame. All right, y'all, let's keep it moving here on the show. Let's get into my final 2 big-name free agents that I would love the Raiders to at least keep an eye on, and I think that they're gonna. Next name is L'Jarius Sneed, cornerback from Kansas City. I'll be curious to see what Kansas City does. I think that he might end up getting franchise tagged, but I also know that Tom Telesco really values players that have AFC West experience. Obviously, Sneed on the Chiefs has that. Plus, if you're looking for a dude that can give you maybe a little bit of an inside track on what's going on in Kansas City, Sneed's a good player. He's the 2nd best corner in free agency. That's according to my rankings. But 78 tackles, 2 INTs, 14 pass breakups this past season for Kansas City. Like, Chris Jones is the best player on that defense. Sneed's their 2nd best, and that play that he had against Baltimore, punching that football out on Zay Flowers, like, Sneed to me, he's just one of those dudes that makes plays. And he might not be the most athletic guy. He's a hell of an athlete, hell of a player overall. But, like, I want dudes when it's that moment in the AFC Championship game, you're this close to scoring a touchdown, and you punch out the football. That's just a different type of awareness that I would love to see that paired with Patrick Graham, because Patrick Graham is a hell of a teacher. Could L'Jarius Sneed even get better? That would be fun to watch. Let's go to the final player here on the list, and it's Antoine Winfield. And I don't really think safety's that big of a need. I don't. I love what the Raiders have in Marcus Epps. I love what the Raiders have in Trevon Merrick. However, though, I do know that safety can be a little bit cheaper than corner, and let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you want to spend big on defensive back. Antoine Winfield's one of those players to me where I'm like, dude can ball. And if you told me, let's put Antoine Winfield Jr. out there on the field with Merrick, with Marcus Epps, I think Patrick Graham is smart enough to figure out a way to make that work. Even if it means taking off one of our extra linebackers off the field, I'm okay with it. Like, Nate Hobbs, Jack Jones, Antoine Winfield, Marcus Epsu, I think it could be this like hybrid safety linebacker type. You put Merrick on the backside with Antoine Winfield. Then you let Robert Spillane roam. Maybe get an extra stand-up outside linebacker. My point is, sometimes I don't know necessarily where the fit's going to be, but when you're this good of a player, when you're just this versatile, when you're just this much of a difference maker, you can't have too many difference makers on the defensive side of the football, and I trust Antonio Pierce. I trust Patrick Graham to be able to put him in the right position. So if you told me right now, who are you spending big on defense? Those are the names that I would love for the Raiders to spend big on this offseason. Let's play a game, though, because that's what the Raiders Report's here about. We got 1,400 people watching this live show. Let's say you can only pick one, right? You can only pick one DB out of the names that I just mentioned. You're sitting down in the room, Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce. They look over and they go, Agent Red, are you going to go with Jalen Johnson, L'Jarius Sneed, or Antoine Winfield Jr.? Agent Red sitting there, he's like, I don't know. Vincenzo Peoples, Real Cowboy, Buzz-O-Matic, David Zahn. Pick a defensive back. Let me know down below. This is the order of where I think it would be the most likely to sign. This is not my personal rankings of who I would sign. For those of you watching live, you'll see that in a little bit here. This is the likeliness. Now, the reason why I have L'Jarius Sneed at number 1 is because corner is a bigger need than safety. Plus, he comes from the AFC West. So that's why he's number 1. This is also if he doesn't get franchise tagged. Jalen Johnson is number 2 because of his ties with Champ Kelly, and I do think Kelly's still going to have some say of what the Raiders decide to do from a free agency draft standpoint. And then at the end, it's Antoine Winfield. Hell of a player, no doubt about it. Will be the cheapest out of all of these players on this list, but because the Raiders already have 2 really solid safeties, I think that's why he fills up back here at the bottom at number 3. To make sure that you never miss anything going on around the Las Vegas Raiders, if you're watching this, I would imagine you're subscribed here. If you're not, make sure you do. But also to stay up to date on even more stuff. I'm pumping out more content on Twitter, more content on Instagram. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365, literally everywhere. And if you ever want to DM me, I really, really try to answer as many DMs as possible every single day. I've been trying to do a better job of it on IG, so always be on the lookout if you ever want to have a little one-on-one interaction with your guy. All right, y'all, do you think that the Commanders still draft a quarterback, yes or no? We were talking about this earlier today because, one of the thought processes was, why hire Dan Quinn, a defensive-minded coach? Like, if you're going to draft a quarterback at 2, do you not try to hire an offensive-minded guy? I'm going to put a jersey on. I'll let you kind of handle this question here.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eric M. for getting the party started.
Shout out to Eric M. But, yeah, the thought process is Dan Quinn, team's going to be more in win-now mode, I feel like, because already been a head coach, going to have, a short time to prove it, especially against his former team in the same division. He's going to be playing the Cowboys twice. You can't get embarrassed by your former team that you were the DC of 2 times in a season. So, obviously, the Commanders have a ton of cap space to play with and a bevy of picks in the beginning rounds of the NFL draft. I believe they have 5 or 6 picks in the top 100. So, will they go ahead and draft a quarterback? Or, the craziest thought process is of, could they go ahead and use all that draft capital to maybe get a Marvin Harrison at 2? Or trade back and get one of the top tackles, sign a quarterback a la, Kirk Cousins maybe coming back to Washington. Maybe bring in Russell Wilson to Washington. Dan Quinn has that connection as well from their time in Seattle. And then maybe stockpile a ton of talent on both sides of the football, and you can sign a bunch of talent and compete this year in the NFC East. So that was like the thought process of, if they don't want to draft a quarterback, that would be another option for them, and they're still in a good position if they want to trade back and get more draft capital for next year, because a team like the Raiders, the Giants, the Falcons, all could be wanting to trade up to that number 2 spot to get either Drake May, Jaden Daniels, or Caleb Williams if the Bears don't want to get him.
No, you bring up a lot of good points, and I think everybody assumes every single year, which is what I love about the NFL draft, because the NFL draft every year, everyone's always like, oh, this is never going to happen, or, oh, this is 100% going to happen.
No way CeeDee Lamb falls out of the top 10.
I mean, it happens. There's something happens every single year, and I wonder, everybody thinks, okay, top 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks, which I even think that. I think everybody watching the show right now thinks that the top 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks. However, every year, the thing that everybody thinks is always going to happen, something doesn't go that way.
And, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen from now to the draft. So much stuff is going to go down. Obviously, free agency. And along with that, the NFL Combine. There's always guys who, out of nowhere, sneak up. Anthony Richardson was mocked in the late first round, a second-round talent.
Yep.
Ends up getting drafted in the top 5 last year after the NFL Combine.
Yep.
So there's a lot of guys who we don't know yet from pro days, from combines, from this, that, and the other, what's going to happen going into draft day. There's a lot of quarterbacks available in this year's draft. Could Washington maybe say, hey, we're not as high on Drake May or Jaden Daniels as everybody else is. We only want Caleb, because that was another early report, is that the new owner of the Washington Commanders absolutely loves Caleb Williams and is going to try to trade up to number 1 as best he can to try to get Caleb Williams. If the Bears are, staying put and they want Caleb Williams at number 1, could the Commanders say, hey, we're not as big on Drake May or Jaden Daniels. We'd rather trade back and maybe get one of those free agents. I don't know.
It'll be interesting. Also, I got a few names here to add that are in our duck race here. Remember, at the very end of today's show, $20 Venmo gets you in for a chance to win a little bit of money. Brandon Jasper, you in. Isaac Hernandez in. Raider Ray in. Scott Eckert, you are in. So $20 Venmo right now would give you a chance to win $40. If you want a chance, you can scan that QR code right now if you're watching this on TV. If you're watching it on your phone, though, you can add me as a friend on Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Let's go to Purnell Lowry.
Second ever Super Chat. You never forget it.
Purnell.
But Purnell, just letting you know for the future, if you want to, you can write whatever message you want in your Super Chat to come up on screen. I know you're a first-time Super Chatter, so if you do use hashtag Raiders, which we do have a couple questions with hashtag Raiders that we can get to maybe later on in the show.
Yep.
But Purnell, if you want to use hashtag Raiders and ask us a question, I'll put you as priority to get you on screen and get your question up if you did want to ask a question. If you just wanted to donate, that's cool too. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But I know with new Super Chatters, it's a little hard to get used to writing it in and making sure everything's good before you send it.
Yep.
But we do appreciate you, Purnell. If you do have a question, you can use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat again with a question. Either way, I'll try to get you up on screen.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Isdro, what's up, man? PG needs a raise and a new contract with the language stating that if they move on from AP, PG will be the next head coach, like the Patriots did with Mayo.
But the thing is with that, Isidro, that was for a head coach that had been there for
a long
20
time.
plus years. You don't want to put that in his contract for somebody you just signed to be your head coach. That's
correct.
That's putting negative faith in AP.
That's putting bad Coop and Jeremy on it. You know what I mean? Like it's. And if I'm Antonio Pierce, I say absolutely not. Like I almost think that's a prenup.
Yes.
It's a prenup, and from what I understand, I'm not going to get one. Let's go to Mando. Can we draft Jaden Daniels and start Russell Wilson? I would say no. I don't understand why a team would trade up into the top 3, take a quarterback, and then also sign somebody in free agency. Like, if you're so confident in that quarterback, then you start him right away. If you're not confident in him enough where you also have to sign a veteran like Russell, you shouldn't trade up for him. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's just the God-honest truth. Like, I saw people earlier saying, should the Raiders trade up to select Marvin Harrison Jr. and then trade for Justin Fields? I think that's a disaster. Like,
I don't even know how you could do both of those things.
Yeah, if you're the Raiders and you trade up for anybody that's not a quarterback in the first round, right? Like, let's just say that it's dumb. Like, it's a dumb thing to do. Good organizations don't trade up from 13 to try to get into the top 4 for anything that's not a QB.
Now, I'm saying yes to trading up.
If you're 5 to 4, and you're like desperately need an offensive tackle.
Let me ask you this: Brock Bowers is on the board at 11
for the Raiders.
Raiders are at 13. Brock Bowers is on the board at 11.
We got Michael Mayer. Like, it's not a major need to it. Like, don't get me wrong, Mayer Bowers would be a hell of a tight end duo.
That duo would be nasty.
But I also don't know if, like, that's the type of offense. See, it's hard to be able to wrap my mind around, because if it's Cliff Kingsbury, then that doesn't really make too much sense to me. Like, they want to try to add a lot more speed. If Marvin Harrison Jr. slides to 11 and the Raiders are at 13, hell yeah, I'm trading up for him. That's not going to happen, though. He's not getting past 5. No way.
That's not going to happen.
He would have to get hurt. I don't know.
Vincenzo, yes. Actually, in one of Mitch's very early mock drafts, he took Ray Davis out of Kentucky.
Yeah, I think he's a hard-nosed runner. Like, and I think a lot of times SEC schools, Kentucky in particular, they run a very pro-style offense, and that can help out some running backs here and there. Like, if you're looking at Davis, I think he probably goes 4th round, 5th round would probably be my projection on that. And if you really want to concentrate if you're Las Vegas on, let's get a big guy, defensive tackle, an offensive tackle, a corner. There's a lot of offensive lineman depth in this year's draft, which I am excited about, because this is a year that the Raiders do need some offensive linemen. But, like, to me, if you draft Ray Davis, like, there's no need for you to keep Josh Jacobs, or you try to trade Zamir White. Like, the only way I am drafting a running back is if I know Jacobs is not returning.
Yeah.
That's the only way you do it.
I've seen this floated around a lot as well. Raiders Report legend Robert Jansen on this one. If Jaden Daniels wants to be a Raider, as bad as it seems, can he pull a Bo Jackson or Eli Manning and hold out / not go to other teams and sign with the Raiders? I mean, in essence, yes, but I don't think that's a good look for anybody moving forward. Like, I don't think especially if you're a top guy, I think that's a very bad luck. Eli had the privilege of having a dad who was already a NFL superstar to kind of make that move and put his you-know-what on the table. I think a guy who's, trying to make it in the league, who doesn't have that backing of a dad who's already a Hall of Fame quarterback, to make that move would be wild, bold, and brazen, to say the least.
Yeah, I don't think that he would do it. And the other thing that I just think that people don't think about when this stuff happened, that's before social media. Like, anymore, like, if you're a quarterback like Jaden, and especially quarterbacks, there's a lot of eyes on you. You're also, I think, going to lose out on certain endorsement deals, because whether you like it or not, if that happens, yeah, everybody amongst Raider Nation would absolutely love it, but everybody else looks at Jaden Daniels in a different light. And with today's day and age in social media, I don't see a young player who is not regarded as the best quarterback in this draft. If he was like, clearly number 1, and I mean clearly number 1, maybe it wouldn't matter all that much. But for somebody that I think is probably regarded as the number 3 QB in this class, it's not a good move.
Even Caleb Williams was getting a ton of slack, and whether it was true or not, his agent backtracked heavy of, no, we'll play for anybody who drafts us, rather than the
because they will lose
list.
Money.
Yeah, the supposed list that came out that he was only going to play for 5 or 6 teams.
The endorsement deals that Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Drake May will get in their first probably 3 years of the NFL will be more money than what they get actually playing football. Like,
and also, you have to remember, for these guys, you want to be the highest pick possible, because every single pick that happens in the first round, you make less and less money. The first overall pick makes more money than the second overall. That makes more money than the third overall pick.
No, I hear you, man. I think social media just makes this, what you're saying, so much more difficult, and it's just the truth. What up, Ruben? What are the chances Raiders trade up? I said it the other day. For me personally, I'd say there's a 100% chance that the Raiders try to trade up, but in terms of it actually happening, right now I'd say 10% chance of it actually happening, like even less than that. Like, I want the Raiders to, because to me, at this point, I want them to go out and find a dominant quarterback. Like, I don't view Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy in the same light that a lot of other people potentially do. I also don't want to roll with Aiden O'Connell, and I'll end up making a video sooner rather than later about where I would rank the top quarterbacks. Like, I would rather the Raiders sign Russell Wilson than go into Nix, Penix, McCarthy, going back to AOC. I would rather the Raiders trade for Justin Fields than doing all that stuff that I just mentioned. Like, you got to be able to find somebody that I believe has the possibility to be a difference maker for this organization. And to me, it's in the top 3. Rashissimo, what's up, my brother? Trade up and try to get a franchise quarterback, then maybe a tackle later in the draft.
It'll be tough. It'll be tough to get a tackle because if you're trading up to get a quarterback, you're likely not going to have your second and third round picks.
Correct.
You'll be drafting in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. And at that point, a lot of the positions that go off the board first are the top tackles, edge rushers, and then skill positions.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it's really important for the Raiders, and I think it's funny because we're doing so much talk about the draft. We're working, we're working backwards. Like, we're going to know what the Raiders have going into the draft because of free agency. Right now, we don't know what's going to happen in free agency. We're talking about the draft working backwards. If you're the Raiders and you have this plan of trying to trade up to number 1, right, or trying to trade up to number 2, number 3, trying to trade up for your quarterback, I think then what you're going to see the Raiders do in free agency is they're going to try to bring back a Jermaine Illuminor. They're going to try to bring back an Andre James. They're going to try to bolster up that offensive line because this year, last year I thought the cornerback depth was insanely good. This year the offensive line depth in the draft is very good. Like, it's a very good draft year for linemen. So if you're the Raiders and you know that, do I not spend any money in free agency because I like the offensive linemen in the draft? If they don't spend a lot of money in free agency, then that indicates to me that you're probably not going to trade up for a quarterback. You're going to try to address that offensive line in the draft. If they totally, go all in on the offensive line during free agency, that might indicate to some people, me, that, all right, they might get a little bit ballsy come draft time. Let's go to Mando. Didn't KC move up for Mahomes and not start him right away?
It would be different, though, because
he got picked at 10.
He got picked at 10, and let me tell you what the Chiefs gave up to get Mahomes.
Correct.
They gave up their first, their third, and then the next year's first. The Raiders would have to give up double that to move into the top 3.
Correct, and that's the different story here, where the other part of this conversation is they had a quarterback that was at least in that system before. The Raiders aren't going to have that same situation. Like, Alex Smith was nothing special. However, though, he was in that system.
He was a top 15 quarterback.
He was in that system, and I think that's why they stuck with it. Like, you're not going to trade up for Jaden Daniels and put Aiden O'Connell over top. That's not going to happen. And in the same light, I don't really think it makes all that much sense to go out and you sign a Kirk Cousins to $45 million a year, and he's also not going to be able to practice the entire offseason because he's coming off a popped Achilles. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And then what do you do if you sign a Kirk Cousins or a quarterback, and Jaden Daniels is by far better?
Then you just spent all that money.
Yeah, then you just signed the most expensive backup quarterback in the league, a la Jimmy G.
Yeah, to me, I hear what you're saying, but no, it's not going to happen. Also, so Nation, what you want. I know what you want. It's a shout-out for locals. For the best content, personal interactions, and more live shows. Remember, I go live every single Wednesday over on Locals. It's at that link down below, raidersport.locals.com. Let's go to Sean Baker. When are you going to do a video on speedy wide receivers that the Raiders could target both in free agency and the draft? It's a great question, Sean. I know I've been talking about if the Raiders end up bringing in Cliff Kingsbury based on what Antonio Pierce said. I'm going to say this probably after they get an OC, because if you hire, let's say, I'm starting to get nervous like they're going to hire like Alex Van Pelt or something like that and go more run-centric. If you hire Alex Van Pelt, then I don't think that anything happens to Jacoby Myers. Then you have Trey Tucker, you have Devontae Adams.
Lad McConkey, Hunter Renfrow replacement?
No, from everything I hear, one of my sources at the Senior Bowl said that the receiver from Virginia, Wright, I think is his last name. The Raiders like him, but I don't think you have to take him until a little bit later on in the draft, so that could be a name to just throw out there.
Was he a wrestler in high school?
Trey Tucker was a wrestler in high school, for those that don't know. But I will end up making a video. I just don't want to make a video on speedy wide receivers until they actually name an OC.
That was one of the reasons why Dave Ziegler drafted him.
Correct. They knew him back from his high school days, and he was a wrestler. Though I'll tell you this.
What was his finishing move?
I don't know. But based off of everything that's going on with Darren Waller right now, I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff going on with Waller. There's like rumors that him and Kelsey Plum are getting divorced. Like there's like a video that he put out. He's talking about his girlfriend leaving him. He doesn't look all that good, I'll tell you that right now. I do think that we're going to look back at that Darren Waller trade for Raider fans and go, because I'm telling you, Trey Tucker is going to be sneaky good. He might not ever be that 1,000-yard receiver, but he could be a dude that ends up getting 800 total yards of offense, but because they use him, and they're going to do a lot of pre-snap motion. AP even hinted at it. I'm telling you right now, even with Max has been calling him, baby Tyreek. They're going to use him so much this season and a lot more motion. I can't wait to see what they do. The Raiders, to me, won that trade. And
trading up seems really pricey, especially when the team has talent to win now. Drafting a first-round QB is a crapshoot. Build a D and a vet QB. So you're saying either Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, or trading for Justin Fields.
Yeah, which, I don't disagree with you that the Raiders do seem like that they are a team right now that can win. Like, I don't disagree with what you're saying in that regard. However, though, drafting a quarterback in the first round is a crapshoot. Drafting anybody in the first round is a crapshoot. Drafting any player in general, as we know, is a crapshoot. So it is pricey. But like I always say, like, if you land that franchise quarterback, y'all, it's not pricey. Like, to me, if you have the opportunity, like if I told you right now, like for my budget right now, the car that I should buy is probably a Jeep, right? I should probably buy a car. This is me being smart with my money. Finance a car that's probably around $20,000 would probably be smart for me. However, though, if somebody said, Mitch, you could spend $30,000 and you could have a $60,000 Lexus, I might be like, all right, that's not a bad deal. Could I end up doing it?
I love Lexus.
And then what happens if that Lexus turns into a Lamborghini?
Hey, Lexus, sponsor us.
But what happens if that Lexus turns into a Lamborghini, right? Like, what happens if Jaden Daniels turns into a top 5 quarterback? What happens if Drake May turns into a top 5? Caleb Williams turns into a top 5 quarterback.
Maybe Lame?
Could he turn into a Honda or even worse, a Lemon? Yes, but sometimes you have to take the risk.
Maybe Lame? One of my dream cars, Lexus F Sport.
Which one's that? I don't even know. Is that the 2-door?
No, it's 2 or 4-door. It's just like their sedan, but it's like...
It's 2 or 4-door. No shit.
But like it looks like... they make it where it's like more sporty, and it's like a better engine and stuff in it.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, I've been looking at cars because our lease runs up in April. If anybody owns a car dealership out there and you want me to drive your branded car, I want to work out a sponsorship deal. Put Chugs and I in your branded car. Let's do it. I'm in.
We all knew that you were addicted to car.
OC, are there any sleeper quarterback trades out there?
Okay, don't call me crazy.
I'm listening.
Maybe not this offseason. Next offseason, if it doesn't go right for this team, I'm calling my shot right now. The Cowboys are going to trade Dak Prescott.
Next year.
If things don't go right this year.
Okay.
If they don't make it to an NFC championship game or they get embarrassed again in the playoffs, Jerry Jones has been non-committal on giving Dak an extension for his new contract. Next year, he would be more tradable in the next, offseason for the Cowboys with his contract and everything. If the Cowboys aren't good this year, Jerry's clock is ticking. I could see the Cowboys. I could see the Cowboys trading Dak Prescott next offseason.
I would say interesting quarterbacks that could get traded. Kyler Murray's got to be up there for me. He's probably a QB that could potentially get dealt. This might be a hot take. What if Justin Herbert is horrendous with Jim Harbaugh? I bet you there would be a team that'd be interested in trading for Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Besides that, quarterbacks that could get dealt.
I may have had it messed
Daniel
up.
Jones.
I may have had it messed up. It might be this offseason because Dak free agent?
All right, what about this? Hear me out. What if Bryce Young's bad again?
I thought he had a team option.
That could be something. I don't know.
Let me see. Hold on.
What do you guys think? Who's a quarterback that could get dealt?
No. Yeah.
Derek Carr even. Derek Carr could absolutely get dealt.
Oh no, okay.
Derek Carr is not liked by Saints fans.
I got shadow banned on this one. Okay, yeah. His dead money goes through 2025 and 2026.
Oh.
This would be the time to trade for him, but if they do, work out some sort of deal in mid-season, I don't know. I could see the Cowboys getting rid of Dak in some capacity.
All right, hey.
I got duped. I saw the dead money for 2025 and 2026 and thought he was still on the team.
It's gonna happen. Once in a while, you're just gonna end up getting duped. All right, y'all. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button.
Hey.
We got a few more super chats.
Screw you, Marsh.
To roll through on this show, and then the next segment that we're gonna get into is ESPN prediction article about some of the things that ESPN thinks the Raiders are going to do at the quarterback spot, and I'll give you my 2 cents on that. Let's go to the next one. Rolling in here from the real Cowboy.
Everybody in here saying F Dak. I'm on that train, but you have to admit, Dak is somewhat a good quarterback.
I mean, he was a front runner to win MVP. Like, would you rather have Dak Prescott or Aiden O'Connell? If anybody says Aiden O'Connell, I just can't trust anything
honestly,
that you say.
Dak better than Derek Carr. People are saying that Dak is worse than Derek Carr.
Derek's not even close to Dak. I can't even believe we're having this conversation. Derek's not a top 20 quarterback. Whether you like Dak Prescott or not, he's definitely a top 12 QB. Like, I get it. He's not good in the playoffs, but at least he's getting there. Anybody that thinks Derek Carr is better than Dak Prescott, again, I can't wrap my mind around that.
Without an OC in place, who are you predicting to be the starting QB week 1 as of right now? Obviously, lots of that's the whole problem is that it really depends on who the OC is.
Justin Fields.
That's like saying
Jaden Daniels. Caleb Williams.
Yeah. I mean, that's like being like, do you want a hot bowl of soup? Well, it's like, if it's cold outside, then yeah. If it's the middle of summer, I really don't want a hot bowl of soup.
Yeah, the problem with this question, and the reason why I haven't put out a video yet of which quarterback I think is going to be the starter for the Raiders is because you need to figure it out at OC, right? Like, it kind of ticks me off a little bit that the Raiders haven't hired an OC yet, and I've seen people on Twitter say, oh, like, there's no need to do it right now. You can wait. You got 2 weeks right now. I'm a big competitive advantage guy. Why not take advantage of the 2 weeks right now and start planning for free agency, start planning on which players you're going to bring back, start planning for the NFL draft? Why is that a bad idea? Rashissimo, if we trade up to first overall, how long you going live for? If they make the trade in February, we might just stay live until April.
I'll say this. If they trade up to number 1, they're going up 12 spots.
Yeah? Oh, 12 hours? Are we really going to make this deal right now?
It's up to you.
If you go live for 12 hours with me, I'll go live for 12 hours.
What if I'm out of town?
Well, sure. Who's that? That's the starting quarterback debate. All right, how about this? If the Raiders trade up to number 1 overall, I need y'all to pull up with me, though.
1 hour and 20 minutes.
What? No. I'd rather go live for 12 than 1 hour and 20. We'll say definitely 10. The only reason why I'm a little bit hesitant saying 12 is because of the whole YouTube issue. Like, 10 hours live if the Raiders go up to number 1. And we might be able to extend it longer. You in? Marshall just turned his head. I got Marsh for at least an hour of that.
Marsh turned his head and went like this.
Mm-hmm. Raider Smoke, what's up, Papaya Man? I'm tired of being ass for the last 20 years. I always knew you were an ass guy, Papaya Man. I don't care what they got to give up. You have to swing for the fences and get a generational quarterback. F the picks. That's kind of how I'm at, too, right? Like, and I laugh at this because if there would be one NFL team out there right now that would have the mindset of F the picks, I think it should be Raider fans, especially F the first-round picks, right? Like, people are like, oh, you don't know if the quarterback's going to be good at 1. You don't know if the pick the Raiders are going to make at 13 is going to be good. Like, I get it. There is risk involved. But when that risk pays off, it can be monumentally big. And if there's a dude that you're so confident in that can change your entire franchise, F the picks. Like, I know some people think like, oh, the quarterbacks this year. I know this. If I was in charge of the Raiders, I'm so confident that the quarterback I would take at number 1 wouldn't be a bust.
Meme of how ass have the Raiders been at drafting the past 5 years.
I mean,
that video.
Dude, it's an ostrich size of ass. You know what I mean? Like, it's bad. I'm with you though, Papaya man. I am 100% with you.
Dorian, QB1, QB1 question mark, QB2, AOC, QB3, Spencer Rattler.
Here's the problem. I think a lot of people are just assuming that Aiden O'Connell is going to be the quarterback 2 next year. What happens if the offense that you install is like not a good offense for Aiden? And the only reason why I say that, I still think Aiden's going to be back next year. He's a good dude. He's well respected in that locker room. But if they go with an offense that's built for a mobile quarterback, I mean, the quarterback that they have as a backup, I get it, Anthony Brown, nothing special. But if your new system is built around having a mobile QB, I don't know if we should just assume that Aiden's going to be the quarterback too. Like, Aiden's going to be a backup quarterback in the NFL, I do think, for many years because he's a smart, intelligent QB. I don't know if we should assume it right away, but you're right. Aiden is nothing more than just a backup. John, Mitch, my dream scenario is the Raiders trying to trade up to number 1 with the Bears, but fall short. But we get Fields, and then we move down to 10. How we moved? You mean move up to 10 and pick up either Alt or the offensive lineman from Penn State. So I don't think that Joe Alt honestly falls to 10. Maybe I'm wrong in that. To me, he's going to be the number 1 offensive tackle taken in this year's draft. Though I do know this, Telesco loves himself Notre Dame players, especially offensive linemen. Like, I don't think trading for Justin Fields is a bad idea. Like, I wouldn't step up here on the show, and if the Raiders did it, I wouldn't be upset about it. Like, at least now we get the plan going a little bit. I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Fields, and nor should the Raiders. But then you're adding a quarterback that's Justin Fields is younger than Aiden O'Connell, so let's throw that out there first off. He's way better of an athlete. He's been not in the best situation. And
Mitch likes him young.
I mean, Alex is 25, so sure. But at the end of the day, I want a quarterback that gives me upside. Aiden O'Connell has no upside. Sean, next up. What if it's Gruden at OC? 0% chance that happens. And he tries to get Carr back. Just messing with you. Don't ban me. I would rather the Raiders try to bring back Gruden than Derek Carr. There's no way my mental capacity. Like, the other day when we got into the argument around Aiden O'Connell, I got horrific Derek Carr flashbacks again of I can't sit up here and debate the people that just think that this QB who's clearly not as good as what people think, I can't do it again. I really cannot do it again. Sean, I love you, though.
All right, we're going to get into this next segment for you folks. So
remember, if you want to get in our 50-50 raffle, $20 Venmo for a chance to get in. I see Raphael, Big Sid, Devin Smith, Chris Puth, Matthew, all down there in the comments. Much love to each and every single one of y'all. Again, if you want in, we're going to do this at the very, very end of the show. Segment coming up here is going to be around ESPN and some predictions that they made for the Raiders. I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we're going to get into it.
Glug, 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 glug.
Good stuff. All right, y'all, you ready? If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button, or else Queen Sarah Auto, she's going to come looking for you.
She knows your address.
Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. Coming up on today's show is my reaction to ESPN's latest predictions for the Raiders this offseason. ESPN released an article. They talked to a bunch of their writers, and they said, hey, man, I need y'all to act like an NFL insiders. Like, I need you to act like general managers and make some predictions around the quarterback position. So you're going to see what ESPN believes is going to end up happening here for the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to talk about a quarterback that they're going to trade for. We're going to talk about a QBs in the draft. We're going to talk about what they end up doing with some guys on their own team. First, though, let's get into this ESPN article. We asked our NFL Nation reporters to serve as general managers for the teams they cover and decide what to do at the most important position in football. The stand-in GMs made decisions on their current starters, put together trade packages for passers who might be made available by their teams, and came up with contract terms for free agents. They also projected extensions and cap casualty cuts. And finally, they mocked the first 3 rounds of the 2024 NFL Draft to address the future. This exercise was limited to quarterbacks who would either start or compete to start in 2024, with the exception of a few day 2 draft picks who will almost certainly sit in year 1 wherever they land. If you're looking for Raiders videos every single day like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button. When there's breaking news happens, we go live. If you want content around the draft, free agency, guess what? Tons and tons of content's going to happen here. We have 164,000 subscribers for a reason, and it's free to subscribe. All I ask is this. Watch the show for a week. If you like it, keep that sub button going. If you don't, you can unsubscribe. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Let's go to the first ESPN prediction coming up here, and it was the Las Vegas Raiders are going to trade for Bears quarterback Justin Fields. And I know Justin Fields has been a very common name that I have brought up, and I said, hey, if Champ Kelly is with this team, you better believe it. There's going to be a lot of connections there. Kelly was a part of the regime that drafted Fields back in his time with the Chicago Bears, but he's got 1 year left with the Bears on his rookie deal. He makes $3.2 million in 2024 and costs $6 million against the cap. He does have a 5th-year option for 2025, and that's due May 2nd, and it would cost $22 million. So if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, it's going to be a $6 million cap hit for you in 2024. And one of the things, like, I'm telling you right now, if I'm Las Vegas, I'm not going to trade for Justin Fields. If he goes, I am demanding that you give me a 5th-year option at $22 million. Like, to me, that, yeah, you're going to get him cheap for this year, but then you're already locking him in for $22 million next year. I don't know if I love that idea. If I'm Las Vegas, I would rather almost just test out the waters for 1 year, see how it goes, and then if it goes well, then guess what? Then I'm willing to pay the more money the following year. What I don't want is for the Raiders to be tied to another quarterback that doesn't fit their system at $22 million. It does not make sense for the silver and black. So how about this? Here was the ESPN trade idea that ended up going down. The Raiders get Fields. The Bears end up getting the number 44 overall pick in the 2nd round, and they didn't say exactly what pick the silver and black would give up to Chicago. All they said was a 7th-round pick, but if you remember, the Raiders do have 3 7th-round picks, all somewhere between like 224 to like 240. So it is just an idea to throw out there. The reason why they ended up doing this trade, it's because of this. Champ Kelly, who was their interim GM in the last half of the 2023 season, was with the Bears when they drafted Fields, and although Tom Telesco was hired as general manager, Kelly remains with the Las Vegas Raiders as an assistant GM. Some of this might hinge on how Telesco and whoever the Raiders hire as the offensive coordinator view Fields, but it makes financial sense for the Raiders because Fields, a 3-year NFL vet who is younger than rookie Aiden O'Connell, is on his rookie contract and under team control for the next 2 years. So, best OCs for Fields in my book, Clint Kubiak, and actually as I am making this video right now, Alex Van Pelt has been hired by the New England Patriots to be their offensive coordinator. So guess what? You can just cross that name off right there. Cliff Kingsbury is at number 3, I would say, for the best OCs for Fields. Alex Van Pelt, just hired by the Patriots. Cross him off the list right now. So pick a quarterback. If you had to pick between Justin Fields and Aiden O'Connell, phenomenal timing. Type JF for Fields or AOC for Aiden O'Connell. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down and let me know. If anybody says Aiden O'Connell, I know that y'all love AOC, but we need to have an honest conversation here. And like, that's what friends do. It's what family does. And last time I checked, the nation's a family. It's Justin Fields, and it's not close. Anybody that says they would rather roll with AOC, Aiden O'Connell, than Fields, I mean this in the nicest way possible. I can't take what you're saying seriously. You do not know ball. Fields is a much better athlete. He's a younger player. His upside is much, much higher than AOC's. And at the end of the day, you need somebody that gives you a chance to actually compete against Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know if it's Fields yet. I don't know if it's Fields. But to me, Fields at least has the opportunity. I know it can't be Aiden. And if you can find a resource that you don't have to give up all those draft picks and then you can build a better offensive line, you can still address all your other needs in the draft, Like, building a more complete team, I do think gives the Raiders a shot. I am team trade up into the top 3. If you can't trade up into the top 3 for one of those quarterbacks, the next thing on my list is for trading for Justin Fields. When you look at the past 4 seasons, now, he's only played 3 years in the NFL. The bottom number there is what he did in college at Ohio State. But last year, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in only 9 games played. 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions the year before that. But the reason why you take a chance on a guy like Fields is because of what he can do with his legs, right? I mean, he is a phenomenal runner, and the 1,143 rushing yards is the most rushing yards that a quarterback has ever had in the National Football League. And I would be curious to see what Fields is able to do with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Michael Mayer. I mean, it's so much of a better situation in Las Vegas compared to what he had in Chicago. The Chicago Bears had a terrible offensive line. Yes, they finally added DJ Moore, but it was DJ Moore's first year in an offense. I mean, think about how many times us as Raider fans have sat here and said, oh, well, it's year 1 in a system. Oh, it's year 1 in a system. Well, guess what? It was year 1 in a system for DJ Moore and Justin Fields. My point is he has upside. I will admit, the trade that ESPN put out there, I think it's a fair deal for Fields. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and say it's not a fair deal. It's a fair deal for the upside that he has. I've also talked to many Raiders players that said that they would be on board for trading for Justin Fields. But if I was Las Vegas, I would like there to be almost like a comp pick kind of thrown in there where it's like Justin Fields has to play a certain amount of games because he has been kind of like the Calvin Ridley deal, sure, or even like the Carson Wentz deal where he's got to play. If he plays more than 14 games, I'll give up a second-round pick. If he doesn't play 14 games, well, then that second is a third-round pick. So that's kind of how I would like the Raiders to do it if they do end up trading for Fields. Before I get into the rest of this ESPN prediction article, shout out to our sponsor, PrizePicks. And I'm telling you right now, if you're a Raider fan, there has never been a more important time, a better time to get started with PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. It's because of this. I want to watch the Super Bowl. I want to be able to watch a football game because it's the last game of the year, and I'm sorry, I know it's 2 teams that we hate more than any team. But guess what? There's no way on Super Bowl Sunday I'm not going to watch the game. So at least with PrizePicks, I have the ability to enjoy what I am watching. And if anybody wants to do that with me, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want Kansas City to win. The team that I'm going to be rooting for will be the San Francisco 49ers. I'm telling you right now, I do not want the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl inside Allegiant Stadium. But what I will root for is that my $20 that I put here, turns into $200. And I think that there's a chance. 1 catch from Kyle Juszczyk, a touchdown for Pacheco, 7 straight games, 11.5 rushing yards. Dude had 50 the other game, and half a passing yard for Patrick Mahomes. This to me seems like a lock. I am basically already putting $200 in my pocket. So if you're like me and you're like, man, I don't know who I want to root for, or man, I don't even know if I want to watch the game. Watch the game and be selfish. Try to just pick some players that you think are going to do better or that are going to do worse. All you got to do is choose more or less, pick 2+ players, have a chance to times 25 your money. I mean, it's a hell of a deal. I love PrizePicks, and I think you guys are going to like it too, especially if you're on the fence about watching the big game. All right, let's go to the next ESPN prediction. It was cut Jimmy Garoppolo. This one, Jeremy said it, and I was literally just about to say it. Duh. Like, if you do not cut Jimmy Garoppolo, I will question Tom Telesco's intelligence. I will question Antonio Pierce's intelligence. I've already questioned AP putting Jimmy G in the game because I'll still say this. It was not the right move putting Garoppolo in that game when Aiden O'Connell got hurt. But Mitch, Aiden got hurt. I get it. What should have happened was Brian Hoyer should have been the active quarterback because you could not have afforded to risk the injury of Jimmy G, who gets hurt all the time. And now you have to know that you have to move on from everything McDaniels, but you also got to cut the fat. And that's what Jimmy G is right now. Here's what Paul Gutierrez had to say. Las Vegas needs a long-term answer under center for Antonio Pierce, who had the interim tag removed from his head coaching title, and it is likely to move on from expensive vet Jimmy Garoppolo, who didn't work out after signing with the Raiders last offseason. So for those of you that do not know, Garoppolo signed a 3-year deal, $72.75 million contract this offseason. The Raiders restructured it, giving him 2 void years in 2026 and in 2027. His cap hit this year and next season would be $28.5 million. I'm not paying Jimmy Garoppolo $28.5 million in the next 2 years to be a backup. Yeah, you're going to eat some money, but guess what? I'd rather eat some money and save some than just throw away $28.5, because this is literally throwing away $28.5 million. So I've said it before. I started talking about this back in early November. There is a 0% chance Jimmy Garoppolo will be on the Raiders. Now it's this season. No chance he's going to be on the team in 2024. And the other problem is, because I know some people are like, well, don't just cut him, trade him. No team is going to trade for Jimmy G's contract. He stinks, and he always gets injured. Think about the last thing that you saw from Garoppolo. It was horrendous football. There is no team out there. Like, I think I have a graphic that says he's a 5th-round pick. If the Raiders could get a 7th-round pick for Jimmy G, you do it in a heartbeat. 7th-round pick, you do it in a heartbeat. But here's the thing. If you trade him, yeah, you save $11.4 million. You're going to eat $17.1, which actually you end up eating more money if you trade him. New team takes on $11.3. I don't even think a team would want Jimmy Garoppolo for $11.3 million. His value is a 5th-rounder at best, and I mean now it's probably a 7th-rounder at best. The way the Raiders have to handle this entire situation with Garoppolo, because thanks a lot, the clown, the Raiders are going to have to put Jimmy G as a post-June 1st cut. What does that mean necessarily? I'll kind of explain it here a little bit more in depth. But essentially what this is going to happen is for the roster on the 5th day of the 2024 league year, okay? The reason why you have to designate him as a post-June 1st cut is because if he's on your roster the 5th day of the new year, which I believe is March 19th, if my memory serves me correctly, then he gets $11.25 million. You cannot afford for that to happen. So the cut does need to happen before March 19th. I should have just looked down. So they got to cut him before this date here, but due to the contract, you just designate him as a post-June 1st because it's the only option. And remember, you can only designate 2 players as a post-June 1st cut. It's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. It's going to be Hunter Renfrow. I'm telling you right now, Jimmy G, Hunter Renfrow, post-June 1st cut. The Raiders are going to end up saving with those 2 guys over $30 million. But here's the thing, and this is, again, is why you have to do it, right? The NFL teams allow 2 post-June 1st cuts, so that one we just got to fix. But when you look at the numbers here, right, you can't cut them pre because then you're just eating $28.3 million and you save $200K. That doesn't do me any good. You cut them post-June 1st, and yeah, you're going to take a cap hit of $15.5 million, but you save $13 million in the process. The issue with the money when you do this as a post-June 1st, the Raiders don't get that money. At least not for free agency, right? So you end up getting that money post-June 1st. So Jimmy G can still go, and he can look to wherever he wants to go sign during free agency. That's fine. But by the Raiders doing this, yes, you do not get that money until June 1st. What smart NFL teams end up doing, then they go, all right, well, I know I'm going to get $13 million. I can allocate that $13 million to the players that I'm going to end up drafting, and I can still spend more money during free agency. Like, anybody that says, no, we can't do that because then we can't have the money to spend in free agency, you're telling me you're willing to eat $28.3 million to get $200K to spend in free agency? No, nobody would do that. Jimmy Garoppolo, his ass, it's grass. So here's my question. You be the judge. After everything that I just ranted and raved about there, if you don't know my answer on this, I can't help you. I can't help you, man. Give me a Y for yes or type your N for no. Should the Raiders cut Jimmy Garoppolo? It's not too often that I get a group of people. Right now, we got 1,300 people watching this show live. It's not too often you can get 1,300 people to agree. And looking at that chat, 1,300 people are saying, Jimmy Garoppolo, get him the hell out of here. Coming up here next, which I think is probably going to be the thing that might interest some of y'all the most, where ESPN projects some of these top quarterbacks are going to end up getting drafted at. And what they ended up doing is they took all the QBs that they believe end up getting taken in the top 100 picks. There's going to be one QB that falls down the board. That's going to surprise a lot of y'all. But before we tell you who they are and where they end up going, I do got to tell you about our big game watch party. It's going to be going down for the big game, February 11th, 2 p.m. Pacific time. Seats are filling up quickly. I'm telling you right now, it is free to attend. Here's the address. It's going to be in the Ahern live showroom at the Ahern Hotel. Chatsports.com/big game is the link. You can get in for free. I just can't guarantee that you're going to have a seat. And with seats being, up in the air, I would just rather you reserve a spot for $99 or $149. It's all you can eat, all you can drink. If you've ever been to Vegas, period, This is an unbelievable deal. Like, this is like finding a unicorn when you're out hunting for white-tailed deer. There you go. There's my Pennsylvania tie showing up once in a while. So reserve your spot today. Chatsports.com/big game to reserve your spot right now. And if you're wondering, Mitch, what does this place look like? There's a full bar. There's going to be huge televisions on both sides. And this thing is upstairs, downstairs. You're going to have an opportunity to join the show with Chugs and I. From what I understand, there's going to be a lot of people that you want to meet here. So just wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But at the end of the day, man, unlimited food, all you can eat, all you can drink. You tell me all you can eat, all you can drink, I'm there. And for $99 during the big game on a weekend in Las Vegas, the food also, if you're curious, it's down there at that link to go check it out. If you're like, I don't know if I want it. I've also been asked a bunch, is it kid-friendly? Yes, it's kid-friendly. If you allow your kid to watch the big game, and if you allow your kid to watch the Raiders Report, you should allow him to come to this event too. Bottle service, I think you could probably get bottle service there. I mean, they have a full bar. I see somebody asking down in the comments. As far as I'm concerned, we're going to be pouring shots down y'all's throat. We're going to be giving y'all drinks on top of everything you're going to get. It's going to be a hell of a time. It's going to be a hell of a time. That I can guarantee. All right, let's go to the final thing here for ESPN predictions, and it's the top quarterbacks and where they end up getting drafted. And I'm not really surprised by this list because a lot of the people that I talk to are people that I trust inside NFL circles, and when I see where some of these QBs are ranked, again, I'm not surprised. So this is where ESPN projects the quarterbacks that end up going in the top 100 picks. No shocker, pick number 1, pick number 2, and pick number 3, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. Here's where some of y'all, I think, are going to be a little bit surprised. The next quarterback that ends up getting taken is Michael Penix Jr. to the New York Giants at 39. Then J.J. McCarthy at 42 overall to the Minnesota Vikings. And I was told I was crazy for thinking that Bo Nix isn't a round 1 quarterback for the Raiders. Well, guess what? According to ESPN, he's going in round 3. Michael Pratt, 76 overall to the Denver Broncos, and then Jordan Travis goes off the board at 84. Bottom line is this. A lot of stuff can happen, right? And a lot of stuff is going to happen during the draft. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. And maybe Bo does fall. Somebody like a Will Levis. Maybe he falls even further. I mean, think about Malik Willis. Correct. With those projections that you just saw there, that's also based on the Raiders taking Justin Fields in a trade. So, I got to throw that out there. So, what are your thoughts on ESPN's quarterback projections for the draft? As soon as I saw where Bo Nix was, I was like, man, I got to show the nation this. They're going to be very, very intrigued by it. My biggest takeaways were this. There are only 3 quarterbacks worth drafting in round 1 for the Raiders. There might be quarterbacks worth drafting for other teams in round 1, but based on the Raiders and the team that they have right now, and I'm also saying this because I don't know who the OC is at this current moment that I am filming, there are only 3 quarterbacks that the Raiders should legitimately draft in round 1. It is Jaden Daniels, it is Caleb Williams, and it is Drake May. Those are the only 3. On top of that, y'all know that I'm not a big fan of Bo Nix. I have Bo ranked higher than J.J. McCarthy, and for them to put J.J. at 42 and then have Bo slide all the way down to 74, I get it, though. There's a lot of people that are worried because he has not looked good at the Senior Bowl, but Bo Nix needs to be put in the right offensive scheme. Even the offensive scheme for Atlanta, I don't know if that's the best pick, but it sounds like ESPN's even lower than I am on Bo Nix. So, appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. If you want more videos like this because you made it this far in the show, make sure you're subscribed, and if anything happens, free agency, trades, draft, we're going live here on the Raiders Report. Pick an OC, Clint, Cliff, or the other one. And what was funny is one of the things that Jeremy and I were going to talk about yesterday, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of just happened there because I was worried that. What did I say?
Yesterday?
Oh, yeah, tomorrow. I was like, what?
I was very confused.
Yeah, with the Raiders, though, we think that the Raiders are leaning a certain way at OC because of certain things that have happened / that are going to happen. So just keep that in mind. And with one of the candidates that the Raiders were potentially going to hire, Van Pelt, now going to the New England Patriots, makes this situation a little bit more juicy.
I just hope that secret OC isn't the OC.
Yeah, that's true. You're not wrong in that. If it's this guy, I'm going to be one upset human being.
Or any of the secret OCs.
Yeah, Frank Reich wasn't bad. I'd be okay with Frank Reich.
That's the only one where I was like, okay.
I'd be okay with Frank Reich. All right, I'm actually going to go take a quick leak. I'm going to change my jersey. Give me like 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
All good. Let me know. It's really between 1 and 2. I mean, if you're typing 3, just let me know who you would want at 3, and I'll let you know whether you're crazy or not. But give me a 1, give me a 2, Clint Kubiak or Cliff Kingsbury. We're going to have their initials, but obviously that couldn't work out. I see a lot of 1s for Clint Kubiak. Raphael, you're correct. Shot clock. Am I leaving the same way? Wait, am I leaning the same way, Mitch? I don't know. We'd have to see. We also do have some super chats that are coming in that I can roll through really quick. Coming in from Chance-tastic. Mitch, oh, well, he just left. So I'll bring this one back up whenever he gets back, Chance. Mitch, answer this. Why do so many mock drafts not have Penix so high? I understand having Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams 1 and 2 interchangeable, but why do so many people love Drake May so high instead of Michael Penix? Well, first of all, I can kind of answer this to an extent. I'll bring it back up so Mitch can talk on it too, but Penix has a lot of injury history. At Indiana, both of his knees have had work done on him. He's had a lot of injury history in college. He's a little bit older, so that could be one of the reasons why teams are a little bit out on him, which another reason would be he's a left-handed quarterback with his mechanics. It's a little bit harder to evaluate because these guys are watching right-handed quarterbacks all day long. They're trying to see, how is his mechanics working? How is this and that? And I think that something that's funny that if you haven't followed him already, Marshall Green on Twitter, he actually put Michael Penix highlights, but reversed it to where it looked like he was a right-handed quarterback. So it looked a little bit different, and it was like, it made you think like, if he was a right-handed quarterback, would people view him differently? Because It looks different, it looks weird because we're not used to seeing it's like, Mitch, it's like if somebody came up to you for first time meeting you and they went for a handshake with their left hand.
That would throw me off.
You'd be like,
I think that's a little different.
You'd be like,
a little different.
I mean, if you're going to catch a ball and catching it from a left-handed quarterback and it's spinning the other direction, you're like.
I mean, from being a pitcher my whole life, like if I was a lefty, I would have been a D1 starting pitcher, like no doubt about it. But because I was a righty, I wasn't viewed the same. And it's totally different. I mean, it's that lefty tail. Lefties have natural tail. It's just like same thing with the football. I mean, I've talked to my cousin. I don't know if you guys know this. He was a D1 quarterback, and I've told this story a few times on the show before.
Vinny said horrible analogy, by the way, if you cared.
For what?
I don't know. He just said horrible analogy.
If the shaking of the left hand. I mean, it's
Maybe.
different though. Like, but at his
he said
college,
Mr. Chugg's horrible analogy.
But at his college, they had a lefty quarterback, and he would tell me, he's like, I was amazed on how much the ball moved. But when you have a background in baseball, you see, like when you think of lefty, I'm thinking a lot of tail. You don't really think of it so much for football. It happens, man. It really does.
Al Richardson, it is in North Texas. Sweater on. Got to rep my alma mater. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green, man.
Let's go. The only school mascot named after a former Steelers defensive tackle.
Is there any other mascot named after a color? There's the Green Wave.
There's the Golden Eagles.
But that's just
Marquette Golden Eagles.
But they're not like the Marquette Golden.
Yeah.
Like you guys are a mean color. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other team that's named after a color.
The Com Blues.
I just picture a guy just really scribbling angry.
There's a hockey team, the Blues.
St. Louis Blues, but that's more for the music.
It could be both. Their colors are blue.
Yeah. I guess green could be something else.
Yeah.
What's up, Ahmed? Appreciate you, man. Justin
Sienna said the Browns.
Duh. Yeah, that's bad. The Browns. But if they were the mean Browns, that might be worse.
All right, Ahmed. Justin Fields for a second-round pick. We trade down from 13. I actually had the same thought on Ahmed. If they trade a second for Justin Fields and they're there at 13 and they have a lot of guys they like on the board, I wouldn't mind trading back further down into the first to recoup some of those picks so you still have draft capital.
Yeah.
Depending on who's
I
there,
don't
obviously.
mind the idea. Like,
if there's a guy you love at 13, obviously
Sure.
take him. But if like you have like 4 or 5 guys who you're even on and you can go back 3 or 4 spots.
I would say, to me, this conversation would start at, did we bring back Jermaine Illuminor to play right tackle? Are we confident in Thayer Munford's ability to play right tackle? And if all those answers are no, and there's an offensive lineman on the board and you traded for Justin Fields, I'm going to take that offensive tackle, and then you can make the decision because Colt Miller can play right tackle. He's played right tackle before. Then that's where you make the decision on, I get the idea of adding more picks, but if you're going to go out and get a QB, you got to ensure that offensive line is solid, especially with Justin Fields, because you can't trade for Fields knowing all the struggles he had behind a bad offensive line. Then you're just putting him in a bad spot. But I hear you. Let's go to Joe. Quarterback room is garbage. Let's get Fields. FKC. I can't say that. Stay blessed, Raider Nation.
And I actually decided how maybe we can co-op this. How I'm going to start rooting for the Super Bowl. I'm going to say I'm rooting for the Chiefs to lose.
I'm rooting for a close game. I want a close game. I want a close game. I want my prize picks to hit.
And you're rooting for the Chiefs to lose.
I want Travis Kelce to play horrible. Yep. I want Patrick Mahomes to get outplayed by Brock Purdy.
Yep. And you're rooting for the Chiefs to lose.
And I'm rooting for the Chiefs to lose.
Yeah. So we don't have to say we're rooting for one of the teams to win.
I agree.
I'm just going to say I'm rooting for a team to lose.
Miggy! What's up, Mr. Miggy? Cheers, Raider Nation, my brothers Mitch and Chugs.
Miggy, can't you see?
Oh, obviously
Sometimes
he can't.
Your supers just hypnotize me.
Mr. Spivey, you're next up here on the Raiders Report. Also, I just realized now, I'm kind of sad about it. McDaniels isn't going to get an OC job. It literally just hit me. Belichick's not in the league.
He's not going to go back to the Patriots?
My question now is, though,
wait.
Quarterback's coach.
Now, don't give me – this is far off.
All right, I'm listening. I'm intrigued.
There's still a prominent OC job that has not been filled. That of the New Orleans Saints.
I can promise you that's not going to happen. I'd say the only team that's less likely than the Raiders is the Saints. No, you want to talk about a troll job. Josh McDaniels, OC for Derek Carr. I mean, that would be a dream come true. I would feel horrible for Trace. Dude, that I might go live for 24 hours for. That might be worth it, man. That would be outstanding.
Simulcast on Saints.
Of course, yeah.
A Spivey, totally happy with Fields or Penix.
Yeah, again, I'm a lot more nervous about Michael Penix. I really truly am. And to me, if the Raiders end up drafting Penix, if it's at pick 13, I would probably grade it at like a C, D grade. If you got him in round 2, I'd probably give it a C, C+. Like, I'm not going to feel confident going into next season if it's Michael Penix Jr. and Aiden O'Connell.
Nico said, my girl is so happy with the Penix.
Attaboy.
Good work, Nico.
Nico, am I going to see you out in Vegas? Let me know. Real Cowboy, F. McDumbass. Yo, shout out to the Real Cowboy. He's been pulling up here a lot recently. And I like when people aren't afraid to give their opinion. And the best way to give your opinion, obviously, is Super Chat because you're letting everybody up there to see it. You know what I also realized, though? That it's gone. Remember when we went live on Tuesday, you could like Super Chats? Now you can't.
Interesting.
I don't know what YouTube's doing. YouTube's a fickle mistress, man.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like Katy Perry, hot and cold.
You also missed it while you were gone.
I'm listening.
Somebody said that we can't talk about the NFL because we weren't NFL players.
Who said that?
I have to go back.
We can't talk about the NFL because we're not NFL players?
Yeah.
That's like telling NFL players they can't talk about anything because they're NFL players.
That's like me saying you can't comment on our YouTube live show because you don't have a YouTube live show.
That's true. That's a great analogy. You're not allowed.
Oh, this food sucks. Are you a chef? Huh?
Oh, dude, that's my...
Your driving's bad. Are you a NASCAR driver?
Dude, the analogies here are good. What's more? What's more that we could do? I don't even know. I don't know. You're bad at math. Are you a teacher? Your face, though, is... I can't get that close. I can't get that close. All right, I think we're all caught up right now. Let's go to the next.
You seem really drunk. Are you a breathalyzer?
Oh, dude. You make me giggle. Also, we're 6 likes away from 700 if we could get there. That'd be dope. And if anybody wants in, this might be the last call to get in. Anthony Green's in.
I think the dude who did that comment already left. It said something about he's training to be in the NFL, so.
Is he 32? Because that would...
Dude, I remember my old roommate at UNT. It was so funny because I had 2 roommates. Me and one of my roommates always clowned our other one because senior year he was telling us he trained all summer and told us, dude, I'm gonna walk on to the UNT basketball team as a senior.
Interesting.
Never played collegiate ball, and legitimately told us I'm gonna be on the UNT basketball team. Like, not as a joke, like thought he was gonna make the basketball team. As a senior.
Yeah, that's...
Could you imagine somebody who, senior at your college, is just like, I want to walk on and be a pitcher. I'm okay, but...
Well, again, where I played, D3, it's a little different, right? There was a player. He was a basketball player for 3 years at college. My roommate, Joe, was his name. He went down, and he's like the greatest player that's ever played at our college, and he batted like 500 our sophomore. Like, Joe was a freak of nature at the level that we played at. However, Joe and I used to always play pickup basketball, and like Joe could like windmill dunk, he could shoot. He was like 6'4". He was a hell of an athlete. Well, the coach one day saw him and was like, "Would you want to try out?" And Joe one day like ran with him, and he would have been good enough to start. The problem was the player who was the 5th man on our starting roster for college wasn't necessarily all that great. So his senior year, he decides he doesn't want to play basketball anymore. He tried out for our baseball team because he was like always talking shit like, I can play baseball. And I feel like baseball is a sport that you can't just like say, F it, I'm going to try to go out for. And it was a disaster for him. I felt horrible. That might be worse though. Like that's
how bad was he?
Again, if you've never played baseball, you're not going to be able to play. I don't care what level it is. It's not going to happen.
Now, my roommate was decent at basketball, but we just played pickup.
Yeah, I'm decent at basketball against people playing pickup.
You know who's also decent at banging?
What? Oh.
Justin Abgen!
You want a shout out here on the Raiders Report? Spam Justin Abgen.
I wish I could have segued better than that.
I same. I'm not gonna lie. You didn't segue. You wheelchaired into that one. What's up, Abgen? Yo, popping in to say hi to the nation. Got a bounce for B-Day dinner. Just effing win. Is it your birthday? Time out. Is it your birthday? I need this one. Is it your birthday? For those that do not know, Abgen was our January Bang MVP. Abgen, I sent you the jersey just the other day. Hopefully,
El Loco Uno, happy birthday to Justin Abgen? ?
Yeah, I mean, is that
Justin? Is it your birthday?
Somebody said no Cash App. I do have Cash App. It's at Mitchell Renz 365, but you can't get in the 50-50 raffle for it. I don't know if Abgen's here.
He said yeah.
All right, man, come on, we gotta do this.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mount Raider member Justin Abgen.
Happy birthday to you. Abgen, all I ask is if you're not doing anything tomorrow, I got a really wild show tomorrow. I've been talking to Zom. We're going to have something fun planned. I want to do something tomorrow for your birthday. I'm also going to do something special for Fluhy since you guys balled out in January. So if you're not doing anything tomorrow, I will be live here again, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And tomorrow's going to be a happy hour show, so it's going to be a little wet and wild. It's going to be a little wet and wild here. Avjin, I'm going to put that towards the Marshall to Vegas fund, if that's okay
Honestly,
with you.
I was reading it before you looked up. I totally thought it said, yo, I'm pooping.
Oh. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've watched.
Just
bang. Oh, dude, that's hilarious.
bang!
Yeah. That's funny. Avjin, it's all love, my man. Happy birthday to you, dude. I'll do my best to be on time tomorrow. That's all I can ask. All I can ask. That's all I can ask, man.
Happy birthday.
That's dope, though. Avjin, happy
Justin,
birthday to you.
wait. Everybody in the chat, also Justin, favorite cake flavor.
Ooh.
On your birthday, what are you having for your cake? I'm a simple man with mine.
You're a simple man?
I'm a simple kind of man. Yes, with my birthday cakes, I am simply, and I'm simplistic as well, but I just like just how much this brings me back to my childhood. Yellow cake, chocolate icing.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yellow cake, chocolate icing, easy.
See, my problem is I'll have any kind of cake. Like, I'm with James O. I love carrot cake.
Rebel, it said cheesecake. Is cheesecake a cake or a pie?
Like, I would rather have cheesecake for my birthday than what you just said that you would want. I like the type of cake.
Yellow cake, chocolate icing?
Like, it's good, but I would rather have a cheesecake. Like, I would want to have a cake that, to be honest, like, I've never had before. Like, I know what cake I would get Alex. It's from Whole Foods. It's the berry chantilly cake, I think is what the name is. I mean, I'm good. Chocolate. I got a sweet tooth, so the sweeter the better. Red velvet, let's F it up.
One of my favorite cakes. Have you ever had
Reese's ice cream cake for
you,
Sean?
You said it's from
it.
Sam's, the triple?
Whole
Foods?
Whole Foods berry chantilly cake. That's the one Alex likes.
From Whole Foods / Sam's Club does a really good one. Chocolate tuxedo cake. Have you had that? It's the one where
I actually don't know if I have.
It's like the one that has the 3 different kinds of chocolate in it. It's like white chocolate, normal chocolate, dark chocolate cake.
Yeah, see, I'd be on board for that. Tres leches, I also saw somebody say, Alex's favorite types of cake are tres leches. She's also loves, which I can't think of, what's the coffee cake? Tiramisu.
Yeah. My favorite kind of cake is yellow cake and Danny's cake.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh. Yep. Let's go to Raider Rick. Hoping for Daniel in the draft. Great show. Raider Rick, I appreciate that. I think that would be known as a Boston cream, correct? Oh, dude, turtle cheesecake. Have you ever had that? Turtle cheesecake I can F with.
I'm down for some turtle cheesecake. Danny's favorite is red velvet, which she's like, I don't love chocolate cake, but I'm like, red velvet's just chocolate cake.
Yeah, that's all it is. Just food coloring. I saw somebody say Marvin Lewis, assistant head coach. That is correct. Marvin Lewis is our assistant, but again, like that was always the plan.
Nothing bundt cakes. I may be in the minority here. I think nothing bundt cakes way better than sprinkles.
What do you mean? Is there a company named Sprinkles? I don't know.
Oh, you've never? Yeah, Sprinkles cupcakes. You've never had it?
I've had nothing bundt cakes.
Nothing bundt cakes.
Alex is like friends with the owner of that place.
Really?
Yes.
You should know all the sweets owners.
Well, Alex just knows everyone.
Right. Cookies.
Alex
cake.
has lived here her entire life. Like, she knows everyone. Which again, like, I get it because I don't know anyone here in Dallas. So, like, when we walk around, like, to me, she's always like, "Aren't you worried somebody's gonna, see you?" Because I really don't try to dress up unless we're actually going out for dinner or something. I don't care what I look like. Or back home, like when I go home, I try to look respectable because I know everyone in my hometown. But again, that's a 5,000 population compared to however many people live here in Dallas. She knows everyone. She's the mayor. Chance. Thanks, Chugs. Would y'all consider Bo Nix a system quarterback while he played at Oregon and Auburn, or a very underrated player in this draft? I think he's a steal in the 3rd round. I think he's a borderline bottom 1st round, top 2nd round player
I view Bo Nix as somebody with potential, but a project. I don't think he's a year one starter like a lot of people do.
No way.
I don't think he's a year one starter. For me, if you look at his tape at Oregon and at Auburn, he never really impressed me where it's like, oh, this guy, you watch a play and you're like, Bo Nix just made a play that almost no other quarterback in college football can make. I think a lot of throws he does, timing throws, on time, decent accuracy. I think he's a good college quarterback. But like we argued on Tuesday, I think a lot of his throws are kind of empty stats where it's a lot of tunnel screens, a lot of short slants, and whenever he needs to make NFL level throws, like on a third and 9, 3rd and 10, and you have a 12-yard out route and you got to throw it in a certain place so it doesn't get picked, I don't think Bo Nix can make those throws.
That's why he's struggled so much at Senior Bowl. Like Senior Bowl, they put you in situations that you're going to have to be able to make those throws at the next level. And again, that's still against college players, and he has really struggled according to all reports out there.
Raphael said Bo Nix is another Jordan Love.
It's not even close.
Bo Nix.
I don't think Jordan Love and Bo Nix, and I say this, they're not even close to the same type of prospect. But what you need to do with Bo Nix, like honestly, if you want to draft Bo, I don't think he's going to fall to the 3rd round, honestly. You draft Bo Nix and you let him sit for 2 years. You sign a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins, like a Russell Wilson, and then you let those two guys run the ship for 2 years, and then you hope Bo in his 3rd year is ready to take over. The problem with that, though, is that means then you're handing the keys to the car to technically a quarterback that's never played in the NFL. It's going to be 26 years old. Like, I don't like it, man. I get that people like Bo, and I think the reason why people like Bo is because they look at his stats and they look at the system that he played in Oregon.
West Coast.
And in the West Coast, yeah. Bo's a quarterback that I would be extremely upset if the Raiders ended up taking Bo Nix. I really would. Real, great show. Off to job number 2. See you guys tomorrow.
Work.
I appreciate it. Hey, man, I respect it. You got to hustle. In today's day and age, man, if you're not hustling, I don't know what you're doing. You got to hustle.
Yeah. Me and Mitch always can respect the hustle. I think I can speak for both of us. We've both been working since we were like 15, 16.
Oh, yeah. Now, I never got paid when I used to work for my dad in the beginning, at least not in money. I got paid in food. But now I started my first job I think I legitimately ever had. Again, my family's gigantic back home. So my mom, she's the youngest of 9, and my dad's the oldest of 6. I used to cut probably, I'd say 15 to 20 hours of grass every week, starting from age 9 years old.
Well, you have me beat. I started my first job end of 8th grade, going into the summer, every single summer, from 8th grade till I graduated high school, I would 3 to 4 days a week go to Galveston and sell snow cones on the beach.
Dude, that's sick.
And we had like push carts that like had like the wheels were made like of like inflatable, like kind of like when you go to the river and the tubes.
Oh, okay.
It was basically like 4 tubes so I could push it down the beach on the sand. And it was this huge metal cart. And I just sold snow cones and waters.
That's really cool. I worked on a farm when I was a kid, and I almost had a horse take my head off because I was cleaning up shit. So then my dad made my job where I've told this before. I'd walk horses out like on a rope, and my family owned a horse like ranch, like a racing thing. And I'd sit in the middle of this like plank, and the horse would exercise like in the lake and just run around. I'd sit out there for like an hour or two. I like that, honestly, a lot more than cleaning up shit and hay.
Yeah.
It was a lot better.
My job was the snow cones, and then whenever I could get a real job, into my sophomore year till I graduated high school as well, during the school year, I moonlighted as a Freebirds worker.
What is that? Moonlighted?
I mean, just, you work the night shift.
Oh, I was like, I don't know what that means.
I would get off.
He would show his moonlight and then whip out his Freebird.
I would get out of school around 2:30, and then my shifts would always be from like 5 to close, so like 5 to 9 or 5 to 10.
I worked on roofs with my dad in the summer. That was miserable. Like, I would never want to do that again. Like, if you work on a roof, man, I salute you. I would chug boots every day if I didn't have to work on a roof.
You were saying this as well. Chocolate cake with chocolate and chunky peanut butter frosting. You love some peanut butter frosting.
See, I like peanut. Like, you just said like your cake earlier, like takes you back to childhood. The cake that my mom used to always get me is this.
I used to get yellow cake, chocolate icing, or chocolate
my mom
cake.
made it for my birthday every year.
Chocolate cake, white icing.
Oh yeah, see, my mom would always make this one, and then another cake that I really like that one of my aunts makes would be the frosting. Have you ever had like crack? Remember, like sometimes like you brought in cracker, but it's that like the brown sugar. Correct. Yes, chocolate crack. It's like the brown sugar
you brought
icing.
in crack before.
But it's just that as the icing on a cake. It's so good.
My grandma used to make this chocolate cake, and it was like a fudge icing, and it was like fudge and pecans on top. Yeah. Self-made.
I'm getting hungry.
Missed the beginning of the stream, so I rewinded a bit and landed right on Chug's left-handed penis joke. Shit had me on the floor.
Hopefully you weren't on your back. I'm a little bit worried about self-made. He's like, let me try out this left-handed. What up, Jermel? Take Penix at 13. Trade for Fields for second-round pick. Give Penix a chance to compete. Heal. He has something to prove. Will be great. Completely heal. I don't like this idea. I mean, why are you going to take Michael Penix Jr. at 13 and then trade Fields for a second pick? Like, you're going to have your first pick's going to be on Michael Penix Jr. Your second pick then is going to be on Justin Fields and let him compete. Like, if you're going to trade for Fields, that's your starting quarterback. If you're going to draft Penix at 13, right now where the Raiders are at, that's your quarterback because Penix is better than Aiden O'Connell. I'll tell you that right now. He's better than Aiden, and you can't roll with Aiden in the next season. Like, that's why I don't love the idea of you taking a QB at 13 because Penix isn't ready to start in year one. He's not healthy enough. I shouldn't say that. I don't think he's ready enough right now. I'd want him to learn a system, and I'd want to know that he's behind a solid offensive line before I throw him out there. Bo's not ready to start. J.J. McCarthy's not ready to start. Like, you'd have to add another quarterback in free agency. If you trade for Fields, he's your starter. You're rolling with him. All right, y'all, we got one more segment to do here on the show. $20 Venmo to get in our 50-50 raffle. If you do not know already, you can scan that QR code. Right now, as it stands, we have Brandon, Isaac, Raider Ray, Scott Eckert, Anthony Green. So $20 Venmo to win $50.
I love Mr. Mata's comment. He just says, F yeah, cake is great, or cake is fire.
I love cake. I love cake. I love cake. All right, coming up, let's go. On my top 50 defensive free agents. I know, it's a lot. For the Las Vegas Raiders. Also, this guy, he's in. Matt Faluhi. Faluhi, you in. Faluhi, are you going to be around tomorrow? Got a special show. Going to do some wild stuff for you, Zon, and Abjin. You guys were our top 3 in our January bang race.
Sienna said 50. Sheesh.
Sheesh. I've actually been talking to. Is Sienna Cauley here?
Yeah, that's Sienna.
Okay, that's what I thought so. I've been talking to Sienna on IG. Really cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I had to protect her last week.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that was some wild shit.
It was bad.
Dude, it was insane. All right, just had to make sure. All right, coming up next here on the show, top 50 free agents, and we're going to roll through these kind of quickly, so just be on the lookout for that. And then after this, we are going to end up getting into this 50-50 race. $20 Venmo right now for a chance to win $60. Good luck to everybody. What's up?
Brave Raider really wants you to...
Mitch, read my comment about Alex Van Pelt is off the board for OC. Yep.
All right.
I will say this, Brave Raider. We did say that maybe 30 minutes ago, which I get it. We didn't go, it's not like breaking news or anything. I'll try to do a better job of if there is like news that happens around the Raiders to recycle it. But yes, for those that do not know, one of the Raiders' offensive coordinators, Alex Van Pelt, he was hired by the New England Patriots probably about 30 minutes ago. So just more Raiders kind of content that just happened there. You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right, let me get a quick sip. Let me just get a quick sip.
You ready? Because I'm not. Somebody said Madonna Inn has smoking cake. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. I'm going to be honest with you.
Smoking cake. Is it like smoked cake?
Smoked cake?
Like in a smoker?
I don't know if that'd be good. I feel like it would get into the...
Maybe if it was like a nutty pecan, like cinnamon flavor cake.
I mean, then again, like I feel like if you made like an old-fashioned style cake, smoked
Yeah.
it'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Tiramisu's good.
What's up?
What up? You all right? I think he's good. All right, coming up here, let's get into our top. Let's get into our top.
One more.
Hang on. All right. Let's get into our top
What time is the
50
next game?
free agents.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be close. It might be close.
Yeah, it might be closed.
Sorry. We're party rocking. Okay, here we go right now on the Raiders Report. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here from the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, ranking the top 50 free agents that the Las Vegas Raiders should target on the defensive side of the football this offseason. Again, this list is only for the Raiders, and it's based on what the Raiders need. I don't care what other people rank. I don't care what ESPN, PFF, what other people rank. I do not care. This list is strictly for the silver and black, in the silver and black only. So number one, my rankings are based on the fit in Patrick Graham's defense, how I think they're going to be able to fit on all types of levels, depth, all that kind of good stuff. The overall need for the Raiders. There are certain positions that I think are bigger needs right now for this defense. And then the projected cost for a player. If I think a guy's going to be more of a discount than somebody else, well, then I bumped him up my rankings here a little bit. If you want to know a little bit more background for the Raiders offseason, their current cap space, at the time that I'm making the video right now, $43.37 million. It's the 11th most in the National Football League. They have 56 players signed for 2024, which is the 12th most as it stands right now, and their first-round draft slot is at pick number 13. The Raiders will also be able to move on from certain dudes, so you're going to add more to the mix here. Bottom line is the Raiders have the money to sign any player that's on this list. Here's my question, though, and whoever's number one is the top defensive free agent that I believe that the Raiders should sign. But this is about y'all. When I do this show, I do it because I legitimately want to know what you guys have to say. So here's your opportunity. Go down in the comments. If you're watching this live, if you're watching this on a later date, let me know who's the top defensive free agent that the Las Vegas Raiders should sign during free agency. All right, we're going to go from 50 and work our way down. And again, some of these positions, I'm going to mainly poke out like one player that's in a list here. The one player that y'all are probably looking at is Devin White. I think White is probably the worst coverage linebacker in the National Football League, and he's going to be a lot of money. So realistically, I've seen some Raider fans say, hey, Mitch, should we get Devin White? If I'm the Raiders, Devin White is a player that I avoid. However, he is a top 50 defensive player, at least for a free agent prospect. Let's go from 45 to 41. If I'm looking at this list here, honestly, the position that intrigues me the most is a guy like Danico Autry, which I know. Bobby Wagner is another intriguing prospect here at linebacker. And if I'm Wagner, I actually think he probably ends up going to the Commanders, maybe reuniting a little bit with Dan Quinn could be a potential interesting option. But you're seeing right now, linebacker, safety, edge, these aren't really big-time positions of need for the silver and black going into this offseason. If you're looking for free agency videos every single day, guess what? In March, you're going to be getting tons of free agency content. You're going to be getting tons of draft content. Bottom line, when the Raiders sign somebody, we go live during free agency. If it's a big name, we stay live longer. We get crazy. We get wild. I love free agency because you're adding new faces, and you also get to see a lot more new people here on the Raiders Report. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss a thing. Let's go from 40 to 36. The one player that I'm really going to point out here is actually Adoree Jackson, because Jackson struggled last season with the New York Giants. But back in 2021, I get it, he was 2 years younger. He had the best season that he's ever had of his career. Guess who was his defensive coordinator? Patrick Graham. I could see the Raiders, if they want to go a little bit cheaper at the corner position, Jackson's probably going to be somewhere around $9-8 million this year. Lavonte David is a bigger name linebacker, but I do think that the Raiders should try to avoid him. The name from this list right here that I would target would be Adoree Jackson. Let's go now 35 down to 31. Here's one of the only Raiders players on this list, Adam Butler, and I have him ranked significantly higher than you're going to see PFF, ESPN, all these other places. Why? I know that Adam Butler is a good fit in the Patrick Graham defense, and defensive tackle, in my opinion, is the Raiders' biggest need right now that they need to be able to go out and address. Yeah, Calais Campbell's 38 years old, but he's still playing at a pretty damn good level. And would you look at this? Drew Tranquill. Drew Tranquill was like my sweetheart last year. I would have loved for the Raiders to be able to bring him in. Doesn't surprise me that he's dominating right now in Kansas City. I'm going to get into my top 30 free agent targets for the Silver and Black here in just a second. But, man, if you don't already know, if you're like most Raider fans out there and you are regretting, I don't know if regretting is the right word, you don't know if you want to watch the big game or not between the Niners and the Chiefs, I hear you. How about this? What if I tell you could watch that game and have a good time? Does that interest you? I think it should. And that's why I want you to get started with our sponsor today, PrizePicks, by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. All you got to do is pick 2+ players, choose more or less, and I want you to see why it is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there, and I believe because of this game coming up here between two teams that we hate, it's the perfect opportunity to. I don't want the Chiefs to win. I don't want the Niners to win. Unfortunately, one of those teams is going to win. I'm also hoping that I can win, and the way that I can win is by putting some more money in my pocket. This is $20 to win $200. If you're like, all right, I think Kyle Juszczyk's going to catch a football. All right, I think Isaiah Pacheco's going to score a touchdown. All right, yeah, I think Brock Purdy's going to have more than 11.5 rushing yards. And if you think Patrick Mahomes is going to have at least one passing yard, take this. 20, you can win 200. If you want to go with something else, guess what? There's tons of player props. It's the reason why PrizePicks is as much fun as what it is. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players is why PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. So one more time here, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. Let's go from 30 to 26, and honestly, there's a lot of really good names here on this list. Andrew Van Ginkel is banged up, but I know that he could be a solid edge and just a very versatile player on our defense. Also has some connections there with Rob Leonard. Jadeveon Clowney's the big name. I don't really think that he ends up coming back, though he's had a really solid year with the Baltimore Ravens. Grover Stewart at defensive tackle, out of all these names, obviously he's ranked the highest, would be the player that I personally would pursue. Let's now go to 25 to 21 here, and there's some more edge rushers. Steven Nelson's a good corner, and I don't think that the Raiders personally would bring him in because of his age, and I think they would try to go with a younger corner based off of what happened this past season with Marcus Peters. Xavier McKinney would be an intriguing name, I'm not going to lie in that regard. But out of all these, best bang for your buck might honestly be Josh Uche, the edge rusher from New England. So we're getting close, man, to our top 20. But what's the biggest need on defense? Is it defensive end? Is it defensive tackle? Is it linebacker, corner, safety? Here's your opportunity. You be the judge. To me, the biggest need for the Silver and Black on D is defensive tackle for multiple reasons, and I've listed them out on other shows. I want the Raiders to add a DT to take pressure off Tyree Wilson, and then that allows the Patrick Graham defense to be at its absolute best. Second for me would legitimately be cornerback. Let's go to number 20 to 16 here on the list, and the name that's really intriguing on here, I think to most people, is probably Patrick Queen at linebacker. Stephon Gilmore's getting up there in age, but as I said before, I think the Raiders are going to go a little bit more younger of a cornerback room. Chidobe Awuzie scares the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie to y'all, but what's up? Luvu's a great name, and that's why I'm kind of excited, and it's why I wanted to bring up Patrick Queen, because some of y'all are going to be like, Frankie Luvu above Patrick Queen? For what the Raiders need and for fit in Patrick Graham's system? Yes, Luvu is a better linebacker than Patrick Queen. I'll say it here, I'll say it again, and you're going to get him at a much significantly cheaper price. I don't believe in paying linebackers $20 million a year, and to me, that's what Patrick Queen is going to end up getting, which is why he is 19 on my list. 15 to 11 now, coming up here on the show, and out of all these, Kendall Fuller is a sneaky name to keep in mind because he does have ties to Chicago. He does have ties to Champ Kelly out there. Bryce Huff is another one. If you told me, Mitch, who's a really good edge rusher that you would sign that you don't think is going to be an absolute break-the-bank type of player, Bryce Huff would be my answer. Huff is a really athletic edge coming out of the New York Jets. Like Danielle Hunter to me probably gets $7 million more than somebody like Bryce Huff. Now, you might only get him on a 1-year deal. You could probably get him on a 2 to 3-year deal, but you know the name, Chase Young, right? That's a big name guy. Former second overall pick, currently now with the San Francisco 49ers. The two names, though, on this list that I would say that I would target the most would be Kendall Fuller because of his connections to Champ Kelly, some versatility in there, and then also Bryce Huff. Coming up, though, my top 10 defensive free agent targets for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I feel like every year I always sit up here and I talk a lot about defense. I'm hoping this year with Antonio Pierce, with Patrick Graham. Last year they spent the second least amount of money. I'm hoping that they watch this video, and I'm telling you right now, if they bring in some of these guys in my top 10, I'm going to blow the roof off this joint here. Speaking of blowing the roof off the joint, Jugs and I are going to blow the roof off of Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel. And if you're wondering, hey, I want to watch the big game with y'all, it's going to be inside of Ahern Live Showroom. Here's the address. Save it right now in your phone. The party's going to get started at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Though, I was actually talking to Ahern the other day. They said they might even go open up the doors an hour early if the nation really wants to party. So reserve your seat right now by going to chatsports.com/biggame. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and in the description. Plus, if you're watching this live, click on the link right now. It is free to attend. It is 100% free to attend. I just can't guarantee that you're going to have a place to sit. That's what I always recommend, and it's why I'm really happy that we ended up getting this deal. We're going to have a full food buffet. Happy hour pass is $99. The VIP pass is $149. Both get you all you can eat, all you can drink. All you can eat, all you can drink in Las Vegas for this price is unbelievable. If you want the all you can eat drink pass, you got to go to that link below and reserve your seat right now. If you're like, am I going to be able to see the game? Yes. There's going to be TVs everywhere. You can see there's TVs behind the bar. There's actually also an upper level on top of that. And then there's a big screen on the right-hand side. There's a big screen on the left-hand side. And I would recommend, if you want to actually come on the show, giggity, get the VIP pass. If you're like, Mitch, I don't need to hop on stage with you, I don't need to chug a beer, then just get the happy hour pass. All you can eat, all you can drink for $99. It's a steal. So VIP happy hour, both down here, chatsports.com/biggame. Is that what you said? Oh, the menu for the food is also at that link if you're curious. If you don't want to just buy it because you don't know what you're going to eat, right there. You can see all the food, all the deals right down there, chatsports.com/biggame. All right, let's get into my top 10 free agents now for the Silver and Black. Brian Burns at edge for Carolina. He's probably going to be ranked a lot higher on a lot of other people's rankings just for the simple fact of, hang on a second. Sorry, I just saw something pop up for the Raiders. Brian Burns at edge, it's a lot ranked a lot higher for a lot of other people, but because I don't really think that the Raiders need an edge rusher as it stands right now, that's why he's ranked number 10. Coming in here at number 9 is Josh Allen, another edge here from Jacksonville. I wish the Raiders would have taken him if it would have been up to me. That honestly, we'd probably have both Brian Burns and Josh Allen, but it is what it is. Hell of player. These would be massive upgrades over Malcolm Koonce. I think Malcolm Koonce is great. If you could figure out a way, though, to make Malcolm an outside linebacker, you pair these guys with Max Crosby, good luck. I have them at 9 and 10, though, because they're going to be maybe the most expensive players on this list outside of the guy that I have ranked at number 3. Coming in at number 8, it's Antoine Winfield, safety from Tampa Bay. Not necessarily saying that safety is a major need because I love Marcus Epps. I love Trevon Merrick. But at the end of the day, man, if I can find a player that I believe is a playmaker and I can put him in that secondary with some of our coaches that we have, Gerald Alexander, Ricky Manning, you combine that with Patrick Graham, Antoine Winfield, you put him, Nate Hobbs, Jack Jones, Trevon Merrick, and Marcus Epps. I have the confidence in AP and Patrick Graham to make that work. Let's now go to the cornerback spot here, L'Jarius Sneed. I know that Tom Telesco really values being able to find players that have AFC West experience, and I'm trying to find that competitive advantage. How can I get the Raiders over the hump over a team like Kansas City? Sometimes it's adding a spy. My spy, L'Jarius Sneed, who is unfortunately playing in the Super Bowl. But if he's a Raider next year, I'm all in. Coming in here at number 6 is DJ Reader. And Reader is probably a top 20 free agent for the entire all-encompassing free agent list. But based on the Raiders and where their need is, I would rather the Raiders sign DJ Reader than L'Jarius Sneed. That might be an unpopular opinion for some people out there. However, I'm so confident in what I believe the Raiders needing to add some more talent there to the trenches because you don't have a lot of your defensive tackles. It's just something to keep in mind. So before we get into our top 5, who is the top defensive free agent that the Las Vegas Raiders should sign? Please let me know down below what you guys are thinking. Who is the top defensive free agent the Silver and Black should sign? Coming up here at number 5, it's Leonard Williams, the defensive tackle from the New York Giants. And Giants, then actually it's Seattle. I was going to say he was with the Giants. Now he's with Seattle. Bottom line is he has those ties previously. That's what I was thinking. I was typing when I was thinking. He has ties to Patrick Graham. I saw it already. So Leonard Williams, you had him on the big guy up the middle. He played at USC. Who knows? Maybe bring in Cliff Kingsbury too, right? Jalen Johnson, cornerback for the Chicago Bears. This guy's got a lot of ties to Champ Kelly. He's the number 1 corner in this year's class. He's going to get a lot of money, and I don't blame him. He was a hell of a playmaker last year, had 4 interceptions, 10 pass breakups. Probably should have had 6 or 7 or 8 interceptions, if I'm being honest. He dropped a few pretty damn easy ones. But overall, Jalen Johnson at corner for number 4. And, here's me being real with y'all. If I'm the Raiders, I am putting a lot of money at the defensive tackle position. And the only reason why Chris Jones is coming in here at number 3 for me is because I view Jones as being the most expensive defensive tackle on the list. He's going to be $30 million plus. Would I love to be able to steal him away from the Chiefs? Abso-freaking-lutely. But when you also consider age and overall fit plus the money invested, would you rather have Chris Jones at defensive tackle? Or could I interest you in adding a player like, I don't know, Christian Wilkins at DT, and then you also were able to go out and add an offensive guard like a Robert Hunt, right? I think that's a better pairing for the Raiders based on some of their needs at this current moment. Christian Wilkins, though, he's in here at number 2. He has had his best years back in Miami when he had Rob Leonard as his defensive line coach, and to me, Wilkins is such a good dude in the locker room, big body guy. Still younger than Chris Jones, but overall would be a hell of a fit here with the silver and black. And then coming in here at number 1, Justin Madubuike, the defensive tackle from Baltimore. He's only 26 years old. And to me, his best football is still ahead of him. I do believe that defensive tackles have a longer longevity, longer career than some other positions out there. I mean, look at what Fletcher Cox has been able to do, Calais Campbell. Look what Ndamukong Suh was able to do. To me, if you're the Raiders, if you're going to spend big on any position, I'm giving Justin Madubuike a massive deal, and I'm tying him to this defense for the long haul because he's going to be one of the best DTs in the NFL for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And I am locking that guy in. Dude's a Raider, got that relationship with Rob Ryan. Let's make it happen. So one more time here, we're going to quickly roll through all of these free agent rankings. And if you enjoyed today's video, take a screenshot. Don't be afraid to tag me on social media. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365 on Instagram. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365 on Twitter as well. And if you find yourself looking for a lot of free agent videos this entire offseason, I can promise you this. We're going to be pumping out more content than anybody else, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, I don't care where. There's a reason why we are the number 1 most watched Raider show in the world. Because we have that commitment to excellence. We love interacting with the nation. And my bottom line is this. Let me prove to you why you should hit that sub button. Watch the show for a week. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing. Appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. And hopefully, the Silver and Black can end up signing one of those big-name coaches sometime, or coaches. End up signing one of those big-name free agents sometime soon. My mind is a little bit crazy. There was a report that came out, and it's from Aaron Wilson. And again, it's not really anything new, but it is Cliff Kingsbury as the front runner for the Raiders OC job. And again, so earlier in the show, Patrick B asked about OCs and Clint Kubiak. It's kind of tying into our show a little bit. I kind of want to hang on to it tomorrow. If it ends up happening, it ends up happening. It is what it is. But the report right now, which again is expected, is Cliff Kingsbury is the front runner for the Raiders OC job.
Sam On said, did we just hire an assistant head coach?
Yes, Marvin Lewis. However, it was expected that Marvin Lewis was going to be the assistant head coach. So it's new. It's news. Don't get me wrong. It's news. But it's Marvin Lewis, and when the Raiders ended up hiring him, remember, when the Raiders hired Antonio Pierce, we were on this show, and we said, hey, they brought in Marvin Lewis. I would not be surprised if he's the head coach, assistant head coach, because of the timing of it and because they worked together in the past at Arizona State. So, just something to keep in mind.
We might have to go early or live a little early tomorrow.
We might have to go live a little early tomorrow. I think, honestly, we should, because we have our whole segment already, what we're going to do. Let's try to go live. We're going to go live a little early tomorrow. What do you say?
The 2 segs, one on Kings and then one on the other one we were talking about with
the Senior Bowl?
Oh, well, no, I was talking about.
See, I think the Kings is related to what we were talking about because I think it
have that be one
I think it
show.
absolutely is.
I was talking more about the draft implications of
Oh, I see what you're saying.
if
We'll play around with
if that
it.
team does get a certain person.
Yep, we'll play around with it. I think you're right though. Who you got, FKC, or you're gonna go for the 49ers? This is an important question. I want to know. But
I went ahead and gave you the option to F both the teams.
exactly, I think that's the more important thing. You could say FKC. Who you got? And this is more of who are you rooting for? Maybe not even who you're rooting for. Who do you think is going to win?
Who are you rooting more against? If you're rooting more against the Chiefs, type FSF. Or if you're rooting more against the Niners, type FKC.
Sienna. Raphael just said F both of them. F both of them. Matt Fluhey, F the Niners. Philip Boger, you are in.
Oh, the Puppy Bowl. Love the Puppy Bowl.
So as it stands right now.
I wish Sadie could have been in the Puppy Bowl. She's too big now.
Yeah, I don't think Chuck. If you could tell Chuck to run in a straight line, that guy can move. However, though, he's too much of a space cadet. He's too occupied by everything. He's way too curious. Way too curious. All right, y'all. Final chance to get in here. 50-50 raffle. $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. At Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to get in. Let's link it up. What?
Ron said he wants it like the. Did you watch the Dark Knight movies?
Yes.
The last one, The Dark Knight Rises, where the field just opens up.
I can't get on board for that. You're not the first person that has made that joke. / I've seen the memes, but I mean, let's be real. If that happened, oh my Lord, that would be the worst. That would be horrible. That'd be horrible.
Raiders wouldn't be able to sign Chris Jones.
Yep. And they wouldn't have a field. And there'd be a lot of other problems with it. Okay, y'all. I am going to send Jeremy this list here. This is your final opportunity to get in. As it stands right now, it is a $20 Venmo race for a chance to win 70 doll hairs. Oh, wait. Let me get rid of the numbers here.
Oh, wow. Reaps.
What?
Reapma. You see the Rams not hiring Brandon Staley as their DC?
That's big. It's big.
Did you see that news about the Rams? They're
Rams
not
are promoting
hiring Staley as their DC. They're promoting their
Chris Shula, the grandson of Don Shula.
He's going to be the new Rams DC. So
interesting.
Things that make you go,
Very, very interesting. Also, Manscaped back. Big win. Big win. All right, I sent you the list.
Your balls will thank you.
Oh, my balls have been thanking me.
It's
balls have been thanking me.
It's like November every day in my pants because my balls are so thankful.
I don't even know what that means. Why November? Because it's No Shave November?
Thanksgiving.
That makes more sense. I was like, No Shave November. Your balls, would they thank you? I don't know. I don't know if they would.
It's like November every day in my pants.
That almost sounds like a John LeJour song. Show me your genitals. That sounds like a rap lyric by LeJour. Does it not? Taco, yeah, absolutely.
7 people in.
And I don't respect them. That's right. $20 Venmo to get in at Mitchell Renz 365 for your final shot to get in. That's it. Let's run this bad boy. Let's run this bad boy.
Let's rock today.
Oh, this is the orgy race. Yeah, there's people underneath here, a bunch of orgies happening. Gets a little bit wet and wild when we do this one. Here we go.
And they're humping right now. Look.
Ski Life Josh. Yes, we said that.
They're humping.
But again, the Cliff has been the front runner. I don't really think that's new information. It's been very well documented that Cliff Kingsbury has been the front runner. Yeah, I mean that's locked in. All right, winner gets $70 starting in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Do that. Turn on your mic. Go for it. Anthony Green. Brandon Jasper right now is spreading the most love. Uh-oh. I don't know. Unless he's late, though. If he's late, he's late. Yep. Sorry, Nico. I'll send it back to you. Philip Bogert with the lead. Raider Ray falling behind a little bit. Now it's Fluhey. Somebody put a shirt on Fluhey. Scott Eckert streaking down the field. I'll tell you what. These Cupids, I don't know. These people, there's a lot of love being shared. What I want to know, though, is how are they not getting hit with their arrows? Fluhey. Isaac Hernandez. What is Isaac Hernandez? What kind of hair is that? He looks like the dad from Rugrats. Does he not? Looks like the dad from Rugrats. Philip Bogert. You got to stop. You're creeping me out. Philip Bogert in the lead. I think it's going to be Scott Eckert. This is close. Scott. Great Scott. You are the winner of $70. I don't know. That was horrific. Congrats. I don't even know if I say congrats to that. That was scary. That was rather scary. Also, I saw. All right, hang on, Nico. I got to send you this back. Thanks. Fluhey, you get the butthole pick. And then Ray, I also saw that you paid, but you were a little bit too slow, so let me send you that back. Nope, I got to go. And, all right, Nico, I sent your money back. Ray, I sent your money back. That's on me. All right, y'all, if you don't already know, yeah, Fluhey is always in these things from Ivan. Well, when Fluhey gets butthole pick, Ivan Underwood goes with the last name. All right, y'all, peace out. We're getting ready to head on out of here. Remember, reserve your spot for our big game watch party in Las Vegas. I don't want to watch this game by myself. Chugs and I, if this event really goes well, into the 780 people here that are watching, I count on y'all the most. I want Chugs and I to be able to go out to Las Vegas next year and do our watch parties for Raiders games every single game. And if we kill this event, even if you can't go, tell Raider fans that are in Las Vegas, tell your friends and family that are going to be in Las Vegas if they need a spot to go. This would mean a lot to Chugs and I both. So please reserve your spot. Chatsports.com/big game. Again, the link's available in the comments, and it's going to be available to y'all in the description. All you can eat for $99 in Las Vegas is unheard of. So from me, from Jeremy Chugs, from the entire nation out there, I will see y'all tomorrow here on the show. I think we're going to try to go live a little bit early. We're going to go live a little bit early tomorrow. I still don't know the time. Be on the lookout for that. But peace out. Enjoy the rest of your night. Go Raiders.